Chapter 1257. After some consideration, he could not come up with the best solution, so he decided to tell Wenyu about it. He wanted to see if Wenyu could give him some constructive suggestions. Before he spoke, he first had to tell her his purpose. Otherwise, if Wenyu's suggestion didn't suit his purpose, he would definitely be disappointed. In that case, Wenyu's suggestion would be in vain. Therefore, Lin Yuan asked Wenyu, "Wenyu, have you heard of the power of faith?" Hearing this, Wenyu pondered carefully. After pondering for a moment, Wenyu shook her head after confirming that she had never heard of the power of faith. Wenyu was a little puzzled by Lin Yuan's sudden question. However, since he had mentioned the power of faith, there was a reason for it. Upon seeing Wenyu shake her head, Lin Yuan explained softly. The power of faith refers to when a life form develops positive emotions such as worship and respect towards another life form. These positive emotions can be converted into the power of faith. I have a faith whose strength is closely related to the intensity of the power of faith I absorb. Lin Yuan paused for a moment before continuing. If we help the Blissful Ocean tribe win the Blood Oath Extreme Battle, we will definitely have to deal with the Miao family's Beast Creation Garden. Previously, I asked you to investigate the information on the Whale Ocean Trade Branch. You also discovered that there is a huge problem with the Whale Ocean Trade Branch. Recently, Whale Ocean Trade Thousand Flags has been discussing a collaboration with the Beast Creation Garden. My identity as the City Lord of Sky City has a feud with the Miao family's Beast Creation Garden. However, the Miao family's Beast Creation Garden is very fond of my original identity. I have something that I want to borrow the Miao family's Beast Creation Garden to see if I can get it from Whale Ocean Trading. If I get rid of the Miao family now, it will affect my plan. Also, I don't think this is the best way to harvest the power of faith. Many people on Star Web are guessing that Sky City might launch a Blood Oath Extreme Battle to take revenge on the Beast Creation Garden. In addition, Sky City displayed extraordinary strength in the Blood Oath battle against the Jing family, instantly killing 2 veteran Emperor-level experts, Han Tianhe and Lu Yenshan. Hence, even if the Miao family's Beast Creation Garden is destroyed by Sky City, it won't cause too much of a stir. Upon hearing Lin Yuan's explanation, Wenyu immediately understood what the power of faith was. At the same time, she knew Lin Yuan's 2 purposes. Soon, Wenyu had an idea. However, before she said this, she still had to confirm one thing with Lin Yuan. "Young master, you said that the power of faith is formed from emotions like respect, worship, and admiration. Then, as long as more people pay attention to this storm, and because of this storm, they will understand your strength. You don't have to stick to a specific identity, right?" Upon hearing that, Lin Yuan raised his brows. Why does it sound like I'm a celebrity in my previous life? However, his words were crude, but the logic was not crude. It was indeed logical. My current identity is Sky City City Lord, the combat class Spirit Chi Professional Black, and my current identity. The disturbance caused by Chimey previously allowed me to gain a lot of faith power as Black. Wenyu's eyes lit up when she heard this, and she confirmed the feasibility of the idea she had just come up with. Wenyu didn't directly tell him the solution. Instead, she guided Lin Yuan and let him understand the reason she could come up with this idea. "Young master, when Pinru and I were creating the Pinru's Wardrobe brand, we thought of immediately using money to spend on some famous Star Web celebrities to promote the clothing. During this process, Pinru and I learned about some extremely popular internet celebrities on Star Web. There is such a group among the extremely popular Star Web celebrities. They are obviously not strong, but they have an odd number of fans. Furthermore, when they encounter a storm, their fans will try their best to protect them. They are very sticky." After saying that, Wenyu changed the topic and asked, "Young master, have you heard of the term fan abuse?" "Young master, have you heard of the term fan abuse? If the worship, admiration, respect, and other emotions produced because of a certain incident or storm are only temporary, it will slowly dilute with the passage of time and other storms. Then, fan abuse can deepen the worship, admiration, respect, and other emotions, making these emotions more profound. During the observation process, I found that those star web celebrities who are not top-notch and have an odd number of fans like to get involved in some matters that have nothing to do with them. They constantly rely on hot events to increase their exposure and occasionally put themselves in a weak position, causing their fans to feel sorry for them. They carry out all kinds of spiritual pulling on their fans. I think this is similar to young master's goal of absorbing the power of faith. If you want to collect the maximum amount of the power of faith, we can absorb some essence from it. First of all, young master, I think you should first set up an enemy that is so strong that outsiders can't resist for your Sky City Lord identity. With this enemy around and this enemy standing up to protect the Miao family's beast creation garden, then we don't have to care about the Miao family's beast creation garden anymore. According to what you just said, each of your identities can absorb the power of faith for you. In my opinion, you should increase the exposure of each of your identities. If Lin Yuan still did not understand, he would really be a fool. If Lin Yuan still did not understand, he would really be a fool. Ever since he had used the law crystals to create 7 Emperor-class experts for the Miao family's beast creation garden, they had been very close to him. Miao Zhua and Miao He, the 2 younger generation competitors of the beast creation garden, had been competing to greet him every day. They did not miss a single moment of time. It was just like how the Miao family's beast creation garden wanted to rely on him. If Sky City helped the Blissful Sea clan win the Blood Oath Extreme Duel at the Miao family's beast creation garden, the Miao family's beast creation garden would definitely beg him when they were at their wits' end. If he helped the Miao family's beast creation garden and saved the lives of the Miao family's beast creation garden from Sky City, he would be the savior of the Miao family's beast creation garden. By then, everyone in the Miao family's beast creation garden would probably be deeply grateful to him. It would undoubtedly be easier for him to use the Miao family's beast creation garden to do things. Moreover, he would use his identity as the Moon Empress disciple to protect the Miao family's beast creation garden from Sky City. In the minds of the other factions and onlookers, they would subconsciously think that the Moon Empress disciple was opposing Sky City. This should be the reason why when you mentioned to him about torturing his fans. After thinking about it, Lin Yuan felt that Wen Yu's suggestion was very feasible. End of this chapter. Chapter 1258. Moreover, there were 2 benefits to this storm caused by his 2 identities. First, the storm was absolutely controllable. Secondly, it was enough to push his 2 identities to the forefront and gain a lot of exposure. At that time, as long as the storm did not dissipate, his 2 identities would continue to obtain a large amount of faith power. Wen Yu was indeed a top internal affairs talent. With just a few simple words, she had solved the problem that Lin Yuan had been clueless about. After chatting with Wen Yu for a while, he picked up the teapot on the table. He went to brew a pot of 3 treasures tea with cinnabar sweet osmanthus stamens and lit up the completely jade-textured agarwood. Then, he said to Wen Yu, "That's right. Wen Yu, Zhongzhe will come to visit the manor in a while. Looking at the time, he should be arriving soon. Why don't you come with me to the entrance to welcome Zhongzhe?" Upon hearing this, Wen Yu agreed softly. She then walked toward the mansion's entrance with Lin Yuan. Back when Wen Yu was still a spirit attendant, when she found out that she was going to meet a big shot like Zhongzhe, the disciple of Chef Supreme, she would have been shocked. He would definitely be extremely nervous. However, now that she had been with Lin Yuan for a long time, her vision and experience had improved. Compared to a year ago, when he was still a spirit attendant, his strength had increased 10-fold or even 100-fold. He looked at the outstanding youths like Lin Yuan and Lu Jia all day long. Even though she knew she was going to meet Chef Supreme's disciple, she could still remain calm. Wen Yu, who had arrived at the mansion's entrance, recalled Lu Jia's call in the morning and said to Lin Yuan, "Young master, Brother Lu said that he will come back from the land of soul suppression to cook lunch. Why don't I call Brother Lu now and ask him to buy more ingredients?" Just as she finished speaking, a magnetic chuckle echoed beside him. "Master, the dragon developing pond has just been opened not long ago. The crabs in the dragon developing pond are at their fattest. My diamond face storage box happens to have a lot of new crabs from the evolving dragon pond. Let me cook lunch." Lin Yuan thought to himself when he saw Zhongzhe suddenly appear beside him. Zhongzhe should be like him and also have a spatial fey that could teleport. Just as Lin Yuan turned around and was about to greet Zhongzhe, he keenly noticed that something was wrong with Zhongzhe. Lin Yuan saw that Zhongzhe's pupils were faintly blood red, and his body was emitting a suppressed battle intent. In that regard, Lin Yuan immediately thought of Zhongzhe's misfortune. Astrologer Ji Tan's production speed in the Spirit Lock spatial zone wasn't slow, and he could produce a box in half a month. Wang Fuxiang would need 25 to 26 days to finish a box of Astrologer Ji Tan's pollen. Therefore, even if he had to take care of Wang Fuxiang, he could still allocate enough Astrology Ji Tan pollen for Zhongzhe to use. However, it was clearly not a good time to give Astrologer Ji Tan's pollen to Zhongzhe. Zhongzhe just said that he would take the initiative to make lunch, which meant that Zhongzhe did not treat him as an outsider. Lin Yuan didn't stand on ceremony and replied with a smile. Last time I ate at Big Brother Zong's place, I've been thinking about Big Brother Zong's cooking. Come, let's go inside first. We'll talk inside. Zhongzhe saw the nearly completed hidden dragon lake in the distance as he walked from the gate to the main residence. Zhongzhe couldn't help but admire the beautiful scenery of the shallow dragon lake. As a chef supreme's disciple, Zhongzhe had seen plenty of courtyards and scenery that were built with large amounts of resources. However, not far from Lin Yuan's manor, there was a lake that was dyed with rainbow colors, half a lake of huge lotus leaves, and the 100 pavilions that were built on the lotus leaves and the blooming flowers on the pavilions. All of them displayed the artistic taste of the owner of the manor. Zhongzhe's eyes were immediately attracted by the red sandalwood longevity fish tank when he entered the main residence. Compared to other people who had been to the return from faraway manor's main residence, Zhongzhe didn't appreciate the value of the scenery but the design. While Lin Yuan was pouring tea for Zhongzhe, who was sitting on the water rhinoceros leather sofa, took out 2 brocade boxes and handed them to Lin Yuan. One of these is a gift that I brought as a guest, and the other is the source-type wind crystal treasure vase that you asked me to find. Lin Yuan didn't stand on ceremony and took the 2 brocade boxes from Zhongzhe. He took off the bead bracelet that was wrapped around his wrist and handed it to Zhongzhe. Big Brother Zhong, take this bead bracelet and use it first. You can return it to me when you're done with it. Zhongzhe originally only wanted to borrow one of the Heavenly Maiden Grade Elemental Pearls from Lin Yuan. Now that Lin Yuan handed the entire bead bracelet, which was made up of 108 Heavenly Maiden Grade Elemental Pearls, to him without the slightest hesitation, Zhongzhe's heart trembled fiercely again. This bead bracelet was coiled around Lin Yuan's wrist, so it must be his favorite. Zhongzhe originally wanted to take the fire-type Heavenly Maiden Grade Elemental Pearl from Lin Yuan and put it away first. When he returned to his place, he would take the elemental pearl and let the burning sky centipede sense the pure fire elemental energy within it. However, Zhongzhe now felt that it was a little inappropriate for him to take Lin Yuan's favorite item back. Zhongzhe summoned his burning sky centipede and said to Lin Yuan, "It just so happens that my burning sky centipede is only 1 step away from bloodline purification. Why don't I take this opportunity to let the burning sky centipede feel the pure fire-type energy within the 2 elemental pearls and purify its bloodline in one go? Why don't I take this opportunity to let the burning sky centipede feel the pure fire-type energy within the 2 elemental pearls and purify its bloodline in one go?" After being summoned by Zhongzhe, the burning sky centipede first nested on Zhongzhe's neck and squeaked twice. Then, it took the initiative to greet Lin Yuan. Under Zhongzhe's instructions, the burning sky centipede came to the table. Then, a surge of fire elemental energy gushed out of the burning sky centipede's body. This surge of fire elemental energy entangled the 2 Heavenly Maiden Grade Elemental Pearls in Zhongzhe's hands. At that moment, the goddess formed by the pearls became abnormally solid. Lin Yuan found that the fire elemental energy within the burning sky centipede's body was assimilating as it sensed the pure fire elemental energy within the Heavenly Maiden Grade Elemental Pearls. At that moment, Zhongzhe shook his hand and took out a few cooked dishes. Zhongzhe placed the dishes in front of the burning sky centipede, allowing it to assimilate the fire elemental energy within its body while consuming the dishes to obtain pure spirit qi. These dishes were cooked by the Class 5 Creation Master, Chef Supreme. The Moon Empress was a Class 5 Creation Master, while the Class 5 Creation Master, Chef Supreme, was a Culinary Master. Upon seeing the dishes that Zhongzhe took out, Lin Yuan curiously checked them. Through true data, he found that the spirit qi concentration in these dishes was comparable to the spirit qi concentration in the spirit lock spatial zone. It was only about 57% of the spirit qi concentration in the spirit lock spatial zone. Thus, Lin Yuan clearly recognized the difference between the pure spirit qi concocted by the Class 5 Creation Master, Chef Supreme, and the pure spirit qi in the spirit lock spatial zone. New month, seeking monthly votes. Sob, sob, sob. End of this chapter. Chapter 1259. Lin Yuan had been drinking tea and waiting for the burning sky centipede to complete its bloodline purification. However, at this moment, something strange happened to the burning sky roar's body. The burning sky centipede was still assimilating the fire elemental energy in its body, but for some unknown reason, its skin and flesh suddenly split open. Thick fire elemental energy mixed with blood was spewing out from the cracked skin and flesh. The fire attribute energy that was supposed to be controlled by the burning sky centipede became a weapon that could harm the burning sky centipede. Seeing this, Zhongzhe did not panic. Because Zhongzhe already knew that this would happen. Due to the lack of concentration of spiritual energy in the dishes cooked by his Chef Supreme, the burning sky Ho could not complete the simultaneous strengthening of his body while purifying the fire elemental energy in his body. However, the heaven-burning roar was a desolate bloodline spiritual object that had an innate ability to control flames. It would definitely be able to endure it. If the concentration of the spiritual energy could not keep up, it would definitely leave a big flaw in the purification of the heaven-burning Ho's bloodline. However, this was also a common problem that all spirit qi professionals with the desolate bloodline Fei had to face. At that moment, Zhongzhe saw Lin Yuan extend his hand toward him. Two tightly closed flower buds were lying quietly in Lin Yuan's palm. Big brother Zong, these two flower buds have very pure spiritual qi. Sky-burning roar should be useful now. Upon hearing that, Zhongzhe subconsciously took the flower bud from Lin Yuan's hand and examined it. With one look, Zhongzhe's cold face, which had always been indifferent to both praise and humiliation, instantly collapsed. Zhongzhe's eyes widened like copper bells, his face revealing an abnormally shocked expression. Zhongzhe looked up at Lin Yuan with a moved and complicated expression. Yuan, this flower bud. Before Zhongzhe could finish speaking, Lin Yuan spoke up anxiously. Big brother Zong, don't let the heaven-burning centipede use the spiritual qi in this flower bud. The heaven-burning Ho's bloodline is about to complete its evolution due to the lack of spiritual energy. Upon hearing Lin Yuan's words, Zhongzhe took a deep breath and stared at Lin Yuan for a moment before throwing the two flower buds in his hands at the heaven-burning Ho. He then ordered the burning sky centipede to swallow the two flower buds. Upon hearing Zhongzhe's instructions, the heaven-burning Ho endured the pain of its body cracking. He leaped and caught the two flower buds in his mouth. As the two flower buds entered his stomach, the heaven-burning Ho's skin instantly stopped. Then, the heaven-burning centipede's fur was plated with a bright flame light. This flickering flame spread on the fur of the burning sky centipede, causing its fur to suddenly grow twice as long. At that moment, the centipede let out a violent roar. A red crystal-like curved horn suddenly grew out of the heaven-burning Ho's forehead. The heaven-burning roar's incisors, which were already protruding from its lips, were now longer and covered with a layer of transparent red substance. At the same time, the burning sky centipede's body grew from the size of 2 palms to the size of a meter-long beast. Upon seeing the burning sky centipede's current state, Lin Yuan suddenly thought of the Mountain Sea Catalog's introduction of Qi Centipede, Centipede Dragon, the Centipede, Centipede Dragon King in, and, God, the Centipede, Centipede, Dragon, and Fei. Ho! Dragon, God, Centipede. He found it strange that Zhongzhe's heaven-burning centipede dragon's characteristics were different from the Centipede Dragon King in the Mountain Sea Catalog. It seemed that it was because his bloodline had not been purified. The heaven-burning centipede's appearance was exactly the same as the Mountain Sea Catalog's description of centipede. Zhongzhe was very happy to see the heaven-burning centipede's changes. Zhongzhe knew that because of the pure spirit qi that Lin Yuan had given him, the heaven-burning centipede's bloodline transformation was no longer just to increase the purity of the fire elements in his body. Even his physical body had undergone a complete transformation. It could be said that not long ago, Lin Yuan had come to his residence and given him the heavenly maiden-grade elemental pearl. At this point in time, Lin Yuan had already given him 2 unexpected opportunities. When Zhongzhe was very young, Chef Supreme had told Zhongzhe, "Even if you think of yourself as a good friend, it is very likely that he will break your opportunity when it comes. As for friends who can give you opportunities on your path of growth, you must cherish them. If someone can give you opportunities many times without asking for anything in return. If that person is a woman, you will marry her. If that person is a man, you will treat him as a blood-related brother." Before Zhongzhe could think more about what Chef Supreme had said to him, the heaven-burning centipede, whose bloodline had been completely purified, suddenly spat out 8 high-grade extraordinary flames from its abdomen. These 8 extraordinary flames circulated around the heaven-burning centipede's body and were magnificent. If the heaven-burning centipede had not been controlling the 8 high-grade extraordinary flames and not letting the 8 high-grade extraordinary flames heat spill into the environment, his main residence, which was full of completely jade-textured wood furniture, would have been burned to ashes. Looking at the 8 high-grade extraordinary flames surrounding the heaven-burning centipede, his heart trembled slightly. In the previous duel with Zhongzhe in the cultural relic dual martial arena, he had seen how powerful the heaven-burning centipede's exclusive skill, 8 refinements, was. When Zhongzhe let the heaven-burning centipede attack the target, it would spit out the 8 high-grade extraordinary flames in its abdomen. The 8 high-grade extraordinary flames would constantly superimpose and gradually increase the damage 8 times. When the last damage burst, its combat power would be comparable to the strength of a top-notch extraordinary flame. At that moment, the 8 high-grade extraordinary flames were constantly purifying the fire elemental energy contained in them under the heaven-burning centipede's control. After the 8 high-grade extraordinary flames were purifying the fire elemental energy contained in them, the flames became even more crystalline. Among them, there were 7 leaping flame cores that caused faint ripples to appear in the surrounding space. Another bright red extraordinary flame's flame core even caused space to become distorted. It could be seen that the temperature of these 8 high-grade extraordinary flames had definitely increased a lot compared to before. At that moment, Zhongzhe gave an order to the heaven-burning centipede. The heaven-burning centipede retains the red plum meteorite flame and uses fire tempering to temper it with the other 7 high-grade extraordinary flames. Upon hearing Zhongzhe's instructions, the heaven-burning centipede's body moved. Then, a flame that was like a blooming red plum was summoned in front of the heaven-burning centipede. The other 7 extraordinary flames of different colors were like moths flying into a flame. One after another, they pounced toward the red plum-like flame that was summoned in front of the heaven-burning centipede. As the red plum meteorite flame devoured these high-grade extraordinary flames that had been purified and contained fire elemental energy, it was constantly becoming stronger. In the process of absorbing the 5 extraordinary flames, the red plum meteorite flame's surroundings even faintly showed the phenomenon of red plum blossoms fluttering in the wind and frost spreading. Lin Yuan thought, it seems that Zhongzhe is doing this to use the other 7 extraordinary flames to promote the red plum meteorite flame from a high-grade extraordinary flame to a top-notch extraordinary flame. Chapter 1260. If the red plum blossoms fluttering in the wind and frost blossoms phenomenon behind the red plum meteorite was completed, the red plum meteorite flame would then truly become a top-notch heavenly flame. This was because only the burning of a top-notch heavenly flame would cause a phenomenon. When Zhongzhe saw the changes in the red plum meteorite flame, he flipped his hand and a brocade pouch appeared in his hand. After Zhongzhe opened the brocade pouch, Lin Yuan saw that it was filled with fire-type heavenly maiden-grade elemental pearls. At this moment, Zhongzhe was throwing the fire attribute heavenly maiden-grade elemental pearls into the sky, burning Ho one by one. He allowed the burning sky roar to use its pure fire elemental energy to nourish the red plum meteorite fire that was absorbing the other 7 strange fires with all its might. Zhongzai's decision to let the red plum meteorite flame devour the other 7 advanced mystical flames was not a spur-of-the-moment decision. It was a decision that Zhongzai had made a long time ago. The red plum meteorite flame was the strange flame that Zhongzai was most comfortable with among all the strange flames he had encountered. In truth, the red plum meteorite flame was not a high-grade mysterious flame at first. Zhongzai had discovered that as an intermediate mysterious flame, the red plum meteorite flame's temperature was much higher than other intermediate mysterious flames. Hence, Zhongzai had the burning heaven roar continuously increase the strength of the crimson plum meteorite through its skill, flame refinement, upgrading the crimson meteorite from an intermediate mysterious flame to an advanced mysterious flame. The red plum meteorite flame did not disappoint Zhongzai. The high temperature released by the red plum meteorite flame, a high-grade mysterious flame, was comparable to some top-notch mysterious flames. High temperature was one of the characteristics of the fire element that Zhongzai needed the most. Whether it was the heaven's crimson fire or the reincarnated flame beast, the high temperature was extremely high. Both of them could greatly enhance the lethality of the two. At the same time, the high temperature of the red plum meteorite flame could enhance the characteristics of other mystical flames to a certain extent. After all, high temperature was a basic condition for flames to burn. In addition, the high-temperature red plum meteorite was summoned by the burning sky roar, which was equivalent to releasing an area of effect damage. At that moment, Zhongzai was clenching his fists tightly. He was looking forward to the temperature increase of the advanced red plum meteorite flame after it advanced to a top-notch strange flame. Zhongzai, who had been burning with misfortune since he was young, had long been used to using his mind to suppress the surging battle intent that was constantly born from the misfortune in his heart. It could be said that Zhongzai had been using his mind to build a dam to resist the tide of battle intent from swallowing his rationality. In that case, the emotional fluctuation toward Lin Yuan just now was equivalent to shaking the dam. Now that this sense of anticipation was born, it opened a hole in the dam of Zhongzai's mind. The collapse of a 1,000-mile dike could be caused by an ant's nest. Battle intent gushed out from the hole in the dam, instantly causing the dam that Zhongzai's mind had forged to collapse. The hidden redness in Zhongzai's eyes suddenly spread out. Zhongzai's eyes, whether it was his eyeballs or the whites of his eyes, were instantly dyed blood red. Zhongzai's remaining rationality made him think to himself, "Oh no." Previously, Zhongzai had also been in a situation where he had nowhere to vent his fighting spirit. Under such circumstances, Zhongzai would often find a place to unleash his battle intent. Until he was completely exhausted and had no more strength to move. Every time Zhongzai used this method to release his battle intent, he could release the majority of his battle intent. This allowed Zhongzai to suppress his battle intent and maintain his rationality for the next half a month. This is Lin Yuan's mansion. I won't destroy Lin Yuan's mansion if I go crazy, right? However, Zhongzai didn't have time to worry because his remaining rationality had been completely devoured by the battle intent. While the intense battle intent devoured Zhongzai's rationality, Zhongzai let out a roar similar to that of a trapped beast. Zhongzai's roar startled Wenyu. As a result, the burning roar could no longer focus on using flame's refinement to strengthen the red plum meteorite flame with its final advanced mysterious flame. Upon seeing this, Lin Yuan spoke to Wenyu. "Wenyu is fine. I have a solution for Zhongzai," he hurriedly said to the burning sky roar. "Leave the burning heaven roar to me. Calm down and upgrade the red plum meteoric flame. Otherwise, Zhongzai's hopes of elevating the red plum meteoric flame to a top-notch heavenly flame will be completely dashed. You don't want Zhongzai to be disappointed because he didn't see the top-notch meteoric red plum flame when he wakes up, right?" After appeasing the burning heaven mantis, he immediately flashed into the spirit lock spatial zone. He grabbed a handful of pollen that astrologer Ji Tan had just matured and had yet to collect. After leaving the spirit lock spatial zone and returning to the main mansion, Lin Yuan immediately scattered the astrologer wisdom epiphyllum's pollen on Zhongzai, who was preparing to launch indiscriminate attacks in the surroundings. Zhongzai inhaled the pollen, but it did not make the blood-red color in his eyes fade. However, it allowed Zhongzhe to calm down and was no longer as crazy as before. Upon seeing this, Lin Yuan once again returned to the spirit lock spatial zone and grabbed another handful of astrologer Ji Tan's pollen. However, this time, Lin Yuan did not directly scatter the pollen on Zhongzhe. Instead, he took the crane's shadow sensor. After crushing astrologer Ji Tan's pollen with his hands, he sprinkled the crushed pollen on the burning, jade-textured agarwood. By burning the incense, he allowed the pollen to completely release the fragrance. Lin Yuan placed the crane's shadow sensor beside Zhongzhe and let Zhongzhe try his best to fumigate the pollen. After the second handful of pollen was completely burned, Zhongzhe's battle intent was gradually suppressed. This allowed Zhongzhe to once again build a dam in his mind to isolate the battle intent. Lin Yuan frowned as he looked at the astrology wisdom cloud's pollen in the crane's shadow incense cauldron. According to the consumption of the astrological epiphyllum pollen, as well as Zhongzhe's current state after absorbing the astrological epiphyllum pollen, Lin Yuan could tell that Zhongzhe's misfortune influence was much more severe than Wang Fuxiang's. Fortunately, as long as there was a long-term supply of astrological epiphyllum pollen, Zhongzhe's bad luck could still be completely eliminated. However, this period of time could be as short as half a year, or as long as a year. After Zhongzhe regained consciousness, in front of Zhongzhe's eyes appeared a strange scene of red plum blossoms soar to the clouds, purple blossoms bloom, crimson colors cover the sky. The red plum blossom in the vision stretched out its enchanting branches, constantly changing the shape of its branches. As the plum blossom branches stretched out, the bright red plum blossoms on the branches bloomed and fell. When the red plum-shaped flower was at its most beautiful, it would instantly wither. The rustling shadows of the fallen plum blossoms were extremely charming and gentle. Furthermore, this vision had never disappeared since it appeared. In the center of the vision, the red plum-shaped flame was burning brightly. However, Zhongzhe no longer had the mood to pay attention to the long-awaited red plum meteorite flame. He also didn't bother about the burning sky centipede, which had come to his side and was worriedly stirring its ears. Instead, he fixed his gaze on Lin Yuan. Chapter 1261. Ever since he was young, Zhongzhe's greatest fear was that his mind would be controlled by the surging battle intent caused by misfortune. The burning sensation of being filled with battle intent was one thing, but more importantly, Zhongzhe had been taught to be a powerhouse since he was young. Therefore, Zhongzhe did not like to let things get out of his control. What's more, he couldn't control his own body. Even Supreme Chef didn't know that because Zhongzhe's mind was often controlled by the fighting will. This caused Zhongzhe to be infected with the disease of nightmares. Not only did Zhongzhe have to face the feeling of being controlled by battle intent in reality, but he was also forced to review that feeling in his dreams. Until he woke up from his dream. The fact that his mind could be controlled by battle intent had always been a knot in Zhongzhe's life, a knot that could not be untied. Ever since he had smelled Lin Yuan's scent at the Night Ruler's assembly. In Zhongzhe's nightmares, there would often be a figure with a delicate fragrance that could help him suppress his battle intent. This figure allowed Zhongzhe to no longer fight the Nightmare Lord alone. It also made Zhongzhe less afraid of the Nightmare Lord. In the process of being controlled by the fighting will, Zhongzhe smelled this fragrance again. The appearance of this fragrance even made Zhongzhe think that he was dreaming. However, the fragrance he smelled just now was far stronger than in his dream, and it also made him more awake. It was only when Zhongzhe once again used his mind to build a dam, blocking the surging battle intent, that he finally regained consciousness. Only then did Zhongzhe realize that he wasn't in a dream, but reality. Zhongzhe didn't know what the fragrance was when he was controlled by the fighting will just now. However, Zhongzhe was now 100% sure that this fragrance did not come from Lin Yuan. Instead, he had something that could suppress the misfortune. Not long ago, Zhongzhe had gone to the purple bamboo forest with his chef supreme. He had heard that the Moon Empress had used a spirit herb to remove Wang Fuxiang's bad luck. After that, his master, Chef Supreme, had personally begged the Moon Empress, but she had not agreed. Lin Yuan's fragrant spirit herb should be the same as the one the Moon Empress had given to Wang Fuxiang. Lin Yuan saw that Zhongzhe was staring at him but did not speak for a moment. Lin Yuan was the first to speak. Big brother Zong, congratulations on successfully upgrading your high-grade red plum cloud flame to a peak-grade mysterious flame. Upon hearing that, Zhongzhe's heart could not help but feel warm again. The burning sky centipede had told him what Lin Yuan had done when he had communicated with him spiritually. Based on Zhongzhe's understanding of the burning sky centipede, if not for Lin Yuan's comfort, the burning sky centipede would not have survived. The heaven-burning Ho would definitely not be in the mood to continue strengthening the red plum cloud fire because of his condition. It could be said that Lin Yuan had played a huge role in evolving the high-class red plum cloud flame into a pinnacle strange flame. However, Zhongzhe only remembered that his master, Chef Supreme, once said that if a woman gave him many opportunities without asking for anything in return, he should marry her. If a man gave him many opportunities, then he should treat him as his blood-related brother. But if it was a man who not only gave her many opportunities, what should he do if he was able to pull him out in a time of crisis? Zhongzhe carried the burning sky roar and said to Lin Yuan with an abnormally solemn expression, "Brother, I can't thank you enough." Upon hearing that, Lin Yuan reached out and patted Zhongzhe's shoulder. "You've already called me brother, but big brother Zong is still so polite with me." After saying that, Lin Yuan thought about the production of astrologer Ji Tan and Zhongzhe's current misfortune. After thinking for a moment, he asked Zhongzhe, "Big brother Zong, is it convenient for you to tell me about your misfortune?" Upon hearing Lin Yuan's words, Zhongzhe answered without hesitation. "When I was young, I encountered an attack and almost died. That was when I was infected with misfortune. All these years, Master has thought of many ways to get rid of the misfortune I've been infected with. In recent years, the misfortune's influence on me has been getting stronger. In the early years, I could suppress my battle intent for at least 4 months. However, as I grew older and my mind became stronger, I could only suppress my battle intent for a month. And this is under the condition that I'm not affected by external influences during this month. Previously, Master tested me and found that under the stimulation of the external environment, even if I suppressed the battle intent brought by the misfortune with all my might, I would still go berserk 3 times in a month." At that point, Zhongzhe's face revealed a painful expression. It could be said that this was the thing that Zhongzhe was most unwilling to recall. If Lin Yuan had not asked, even if Gu Lang had mentioned this matter, Zhongzhe would not have chosen to reopen his scar again. After knowing that the fragrance on Lin Yuan's body came from a spirit herb that could suppress his misfortune, Zhongzhe had the thought of asking Lin Yuan about this spirit herb. Thus, Zhongzhe had the thought of asking Lin Yuan about this spirit herb. Since his master had not obtained this spirit herb from the Moon Empress, could he obtain some spirit herbs from Lin Yuan to suppress his misfortune? If he ignored the misfortune, he might not even need 3 years. He would become a killing machine controlled by his battle intent. In the end, before Zhongzhe could speak, Lin Yuan spoke first. "Big brother Zong should have a way to deal with your misfortune. However, you will need to go through a period of treatment that could be as short as half a year or as long as a year." When Zhongzhe heard Lin Yuan's words, he was startled. Zhongzhe never expected that when he was thinking about how to mention this spirit herb, Lin Yuan had already taken the initiative to treat his misfortune. Lin Yuan had already taken the initiative to treat the misfortune he was infected with. Zhongzhe, who had just said that he would not thank Lin Yuan with words, knew that he really did not need to thank him now. Using words to express his gratitude was equivalent to blaspheming Lin Yuan's intentions. If Lin Yuan could treat his misfortune, let alone half a year or as long as a year, even if he treated it for 10 or 20 years, he might not even be able to take root. As long as he could suppress his misfortune, it was equivalent to helping him reshape his life that was tortured by misfortune. In the future, he would not have to be forced to endure a torturous nightmare when he fell asleep every day. He would also not have to be afraid that one day he would be controlled by his battle intent when he was improving his strength. He would not have to use the strength that he had worked hard to increase to hurt the people closest to him. "Brother, if you need me for anything in the future, I will definitely go through water and tread on fire without hesitation. Upon hearing Zhongzai's words, Lin Yuan suddenly recalled the spirit fixation silver mine that the goblins had discovered at the border of the Divine Wood Federation. Lin Yuan had previously thought of recruiting manpower and using the large amount of spirit fixation silver produced by the spirit fixation silver mine to make artifacts and sell them. The artifacts made of spirit fixation silver were considered daily necessities for creation masters and were in great demand. However, if he wanted to make spirit fixation silver in large quantities, it was definitely not enough to rely on the spirit craftsmen in the Heavenly Craft Pavilion. Chapter 1262. Lin Yuan did not want to create a team from scratch to produce and consume the spirit-calming silver ores. This would make the Sky City's composition appear too bloated. In addition to investing a lot of material resources, it would also take a lot of effort. Moreover, the team created for the spirit-calming silver was destined to collide with the listening Heron Chamber of Commerce's function. This was not what Lin Yuan wanted. In addition, the spirit-calming goblins could almost be equivalent to a walking mine. Apart from the spirit-calming silver ores, the spirit-calming goblins might find other ores. In order to keep up with the spirit-calming goblins' mining speed, Lin Yuan would almost have to create a huge team from scratch that was comparable to a top faction. After all, top factions could not continuously develop ores in a very short time. Therefore, after thinking about it, Lin Yuan felt that he might as well be idle. He would simply do the business of the mineral itself. Big Brother Zong, I really have something to ask you. I don't know if you've heard that faction currently has a project that needs a lot of minerals. Upon hearing Lin Yuan's words, Zhongzai raised his brows and thought to himself. Could Lin Yuan have found some ores? In the Radiance Federation, ores could not be mined at will. In each of the 32 major cities, all the ores within a radius of 10,000 square kilometers belonged to the major cities. Only ores within a radius of 10,000 kilometers could be freely mined by the factions. Those places that were not under the control of the major cities had long been occupied by a few top factions, dozens of veteran factions, and hundreds of rising factions. This cake was not easy to divide. However, Zhongzai happened to have a ready-made project that required a lot of ores. One of the top factions, Hearthstone, which specialized in metal and spiritual materials, was backed by Chef Supreme. Therefore, Hearthstone had offered many newly discovered ores to Chef Supreme in exchange for the opportunity to enhance phase. Chef Supreme had also handed over these ores to him to deal with. It happened that Gu Lang's side was in a similar situation. Therefore, Zhongzai simply partnered with Gu Lang and set up a faction that specialized in developing ores. This faction took in nearly 10,000 spirit craftsmen. The Creation Master team that Zhongzai set up would provide a lot of Creation Master resources for this faction every year. If Lin Yuan had a lot of ores to consume, then don't think about taking all of them. Zhongzai said as he recalled his 50% shares in this faction. Lin Yuan, Gu Lang and I established a faction 7 to 8 years ago. Because this organization only works for me and Gu Lang, it doesn't even have a name. This force usually uses metal spirit materials to forge artifacts, or carve metal spirit materials into cubes of equal size, and then sells these artifacts and cubes in the market. Why don't I give you 25% of this force's shares? If you need any more metals or spirit materials in the future, you can just throw them to this force. When Wen Yu heard Zhongzai's words, she was shocked. No matter how busy Wen Yu was, she never slowed down her work of gathering intelligence for Sky City. He naturally knew how much resources and cash flow Zhongzai and Gu Lang had established this faction. Even though Sky City had a lot of resources at its disposal right now, there was still a lot of them. However, the resources of Sky City could probably match up to 5% of that force's resources. After all, the resources of such a force that controlled the mine were all given by the heavens and earth. Zhongzai had given Lin Yuan 25% of the faction's shares to thank him. In Wen Yu's opinion, Zhongzai was too wasteful. There was no need to thank someone like this. Even if Wen Yu was a spirit attendant, it was hard to imagine that someone would give away such a huge amount of wealth with just a few words. What was the difference between Zhongzhe giving Lin Yuan 25% of the faction's shares and Master Mystic Moon cutting the Radiant Moon Palace's purse and giving it away? When Lin Yuan heard Zhongzhe's words, he hurriedly shook his head. Big brother Zhong, even a brother can't give away shares for no reason. But if Big brother Zhong has a faction that can consume a lot of metal spirit materials, then I can really cooperate with you. Seeing that Zhongzhe was still insisting on giving him 25% of the shares, Lin Yuan hurriedly added. If I cooperate with Big brother Zhong, you won't let me suffer a loss, right? Upon hearing Lin Yuan's words, Zhongzhe could not continue to insist and could only say helplessly, if I cooperate with you, I won't let you suffer a loss. Even if I suffer a loss, I won't let you suffer a loss. After thinking for a moment, Lin Yuan told Zhongzhe the truth. Big brother Zhong, I usually go to the outer realm to train. When I encountered an underground dimensional rift in the outer realm, I happened to catch a mineral vein gnome, and the mineral vein gnome also happened to find a spirit-stabilizing silver mine. I want to discuss a deal with Big brother Zhong for an entire spirit-stabilizing silver mine. When Zhongzhe heard Lin Yuan's words, he could not help but click his tongue. Lin Yuan's series of coincidences were simply too coincidental. Not only did he encounter a spirit-stabilizing silver mine, but he also encountered a mineral vein gnome. With a mineral vein gnome, it meant that there would be countless large mines waiting to be excavated in the future. If Zhongzhe had simply wanted to help Lin Yuan before, he now felt that he was not helping Lin Yuan. Instead, Lin Yuan was helping him. With the continuous mining of the mineral vein, the minerals contained in the mineral vein were getting lesser and lesser. In addition, new mineral veins were extremely difficult to find, so the spirit craftsmen of Zhongzhe and Gu Lang's faction only needed to work about 6 hours a day. If Lin Yuan could provide a large number of ores, then as long as the faction's spirit craftsmen worked longer, he would immediately be able to create a huge amount of wealth. Lin Yuan, if I had only given you 25% of the shares earlier, now, I think I should give you at least 30% of the shares to cooperate with you. Of course, the shares that I'm talking about now are completely based on the actual value of the exchange, not including other factors. Zhongzhe paused for a moment before continuing. Lin Yuan, do you have any intention of using the mine to invest in the faction that Gu Lang and I have established? If there is, I will contact Gu Lang now and clarify the division of shares. Lin Yuan felt that Zhongzhe's suggestion was very feasible. Using the mine to buy shares was the most convenient option for Lin Yuan. He just had to wait for the shares to be distributed peacefully. He didn't need to worry too much about it. Thus, Lin Yuan nodded. Alright, Big brother Zhong, why don't you call Gu Lang over and we can talk face to face? Zhongzhe immediately dialed Gu Lang's number. Chapter 1263. Zhongzhe's call went through for a long time before Gu Lang picked it up. Hey, Zhe, you said you were going into seclusion the last time I called you. Are you out now? Upon hearing Gu Lang's voice, Zhongzhe's face immediately revealed a surprised expression. Zhongzhe was not surprised by Gu Lang's words. It was because Zhongzhe could hear a deep sense of fatigue in Gu Lang's words. When Gu Lang picked up the phone, there was obviously someone talking on the other end. As the voice was not loud, Zhongzhe could not clearly hear what was said. Before Zhongzhe could speak, he heard Gu Lang take the phone far away. Then, he shouted in an unfriendly tone, I'm on the phone. Wait for me to finish the call before we talk. After Gu Lang said this, there was no more voice beside him. Gu Lang took the phone and smiled apologetically before continuing to speak to Zhongzhe. Zhe, I came to Cold Frost City for some matters. I thought that since the Class 5 Swamp Dimensional Rift opened in Cold Frost City, I would be able to capture a few black swamp houseflies. In the end, not only did I fail, but I also encountered an he. Upon hearing Gu Lang's words, Zhongzhe frowned. Zhongzhe was looking for Gu Lang to discuss the shares. Zhongzhe's phone was on speakerphone, and Lin Yuan could hear Gu Lang's words. Lin Yuan had never seen an he before, but he was no stranger to the name. Among the Radiance Federation's 13 majesties, one of them was in charge of all the lifestyle class spirit chi professional guilds apart from the Creation Master Association. This majesty was the Eternal Lamp Majesty. The Eternal Lamp Majesty was low-key among the 13 majesties, but he could not be low-key even if he wanted to. This was because the Eternal Lamp Majesty's eldest disciple was this batch's third Radiance Envoy. Even though the Eternal Lamp Majesty's eldest disciple did not have Creation Master talent, he was an extremely talented healing-type spirit chi professional. The Inhe that Gu Lang had just mentioned was the Eternal Lamp Majesty's youngest disciple. The Eternal Lamp Majesty's youngest disciple, and he, like his senior brother, had an extremely strong talent as a healing-type spirit chi professional. Moreover, and he had already obtained a Radiant Light Medal and was very likely to be a Radiance Envoy's seeded player in 2 years. Although Lin Yuan and Gu He had never crossed paths before, Lin Yuan knew Gu He's temper very well. Gu Lang had always been a gentle person. If he wasn't provoked, Gu Lang wouldn't use such a heavy tone at all. Gu Lang and he should have a lot of conflicts between them. Lang Zi, you and Anha are fighting again? Gu Lang said helplessly when he heard Zhong Zai's words. It won't be to the extent of fighting, but if I encounter Engi's Class 5 Swamp Dimensional Rift, I won't be able to explore freely. The sacred source lifeform was snatched by Enhe's men. Fortunately, I managed to get 3 pieces of high-level swamp soil. Otherwise, we would have come here for nothing. Hearing Gu Lang's words, Zhong Zai clenched his fists tightly. Obviously, Zhong Zai also had a lot of opinions about Enhe. Gu Lang did not hesitate too much and directly changed the topic. Zizi, why are you looking for me? If it's because you want to vent your fighting spirit and challenge me to a fight, you probably won't be able to make it. I still need at least 10 days before I can return to the capital. Gu Lang was 1 year older than Zhong Zai. When he was young, Zhong Zai had been rather antisocial and didn't like to talk to others. Because of the assassination attempt, Zhong Zai had become even less talkative. Therefore, Gu Lang would always take the initiative to look for Zhong Zai. If Zhong Zai happened to look for him, 9 out of 10 times, it would be to challenge him. When Zhong Zai heard Gu Lang's words, his expression suddenly softened. Lang Zi, Yuan has a way to completely resolve my bad luck. In the future, I probably won't challenge you to a fight because of my fighting spirit. Upon hearing Zhong Zai's words, Gu Lang's exhausted face immediately revealed a look of pleasant surprise. When Gu Lang found out that the Moon Empress had given his mistress, Wang Fuxiang, a spirit herb that could resolve bad luck, Gu Lang immediately thought of Zhong Zai. Zhong Zai and his mistress, Wang Fuxiang, were both afflicted with bad luck. Since the Moon Empress spirit herb could resolve Wang Fuxiang's bad luck, it would definitely be able to resolve Zhong Zai's bad luck. Gu Lang had wanted to mention this to his master, the Bamboo Monarch, more than once, but in the end, he could not bring himself to say it. After all, Wang Fuxiang's bad luck had yet to be completely resolved. If he were to have designs on the spirit herb now, it would be rather unfilial. At that moment, when Gu Lang knew that Zhong Zai's bad luck could be cured by Lin Yuan, he was extremely happy for Zhong Zai. As His Majesty's disciple, Gu Lang had been fawned on and flattered by various factions since young. In such an environment, it was very difficult for Gu Lang to make friends. When he was young, Gu Lang's only friend was Zhong Zai. During the gathering, Lin Yuan had unconditionally gifted the Golden Silk Emperor Bamboo's bamboo shoot to him. It was the same as extending his future path as a creation master. Now that Lin Yuan had saved Zhong Zai, Gu Lang's gratitude towards Lin Yuan deepened. Through Zhong Zai addressing Lin Yuan as Yuan, Gu Lang knew that Zhong Zai had already treated Lin Yuan as a good brother like himself. Just as Gu Lang was preparing to congratulate Zhong Zai, he heard Zhong Zai's voice coming from the other end. Lang Zi, I am at Yuan's place. I have been on speakerphone. I'm calling you this time because I want to talk to you about our faction's shares. When Gu Lang heard Zhong Zai's words, he thought that Zhong Zai wanted to give a portion of his shares to Lin Yuan. Recalling Lin Yuan's help, Gu Lang said, How about this? How about this, we each take out 25% of the shares and give it to Yuan. Upon hearing Gu Lang's words, Lin Yuan revealed a helpless expression again. Do all big shots disciples give away shares just because of a disagreement? Before Zhongzhe could react from Gu Lang's words, Lin Yuan hurriedly interrupted. Big brother Gu, why are both of you saying that you want to give me shares? What's going on? Big brother Zong is calling to talk about the cooperation between us. By the way, from what Big brother Gu said just now, it seems like Big brother Gu is looking for the swamp world's black swamp flies. If Big brother Gu needs the black swamp flies, I should have a way to get a few. The black swamp flies were a very rare swamp dimensional life form. The black swamp flies were rather similar to the swamp water moss. A young black swamp flies couldn't even defeat a normal 100 questions beast. However, a swamp dimensional life form like the black swamp flies also had an immeasurable upper limit. If they had sufficient resources and could ensure that they wouldn't be killed by their natural enemies during the growth process, the black swamp flies were easier to evolve than other dimensional life forms. End of this chapter. Chapter 1264. Lin Yuan remembered that Gu Lang had nurtured a snake medusa. Gu Lang's need for the black swamp flies should be related to the snake medusa's talent. Otherwise, Lin Yuan really could not think of why Gu Lang would want a swamp-dimensional life form like the black swamp flies. Lin Yuan could enter the swamp world through the Klein Hub at any time. No matter how rare the black swamp flies were, it was much better than Gu Lang opening Class 5 swamp-dimensional rifts one by one. Upon hearing Lin Yuan's words, most of the fatigue on Gu Lang's face disappeared. If Lin Yuan could help him find the black swamp flies, then the snake medusa that he had painstakingly obtained could come in handy. Since it was something he really needed, Gu Lang did not stand on ceremony. Thank you, Lin Yuan. The black swamp flies are indeed very useful to me. According to Lin Yuan's words, Gu Lang knew that Lin Yuan did not want to take his shares for nothing. Moreover, Lin Yuan had clearly rejected Zhongzhe. Thus, Gu Lang did not mention giving Lin Yuan shares again. Instead, he used a real cooperation attitude to discuss the division of shares with Zhongzhe and Lin Yuan. In the end, Zhongzhe and Lin Yuan each held 33.3% of the faction's shares, while Gu Lang held 33.4%. Gu Lang would spend his time managing the faction's operation. After discussing the matter, Zhongzhe looked at the time and went to the kitchen to deal with the newly fished crabs from the evolving dragon pond. At that moment, Wen Yu looked at Lin Yuan with eyes full of deep worship. As the behind-the-scenes operator of a faction, she understood how difficult it was to accumulate resources. However, Lin Yuan had managed to negotiate such a huge deal with just a few words. Just as Wen Yu was looking at Lin Yuan with stars in her eyes, Lin Yuan said to her, Wen Yu, the shares on your side have been confirmed. If there's anything in the future, you'll communicate with Gu Lang. Upon hearing that, Wen Yu replied with a smile, Don't worry, young master. I'll carefully follow up on these matters and handle them well. While Wen Yu was talking to him, Lin Yuan found that Lu Jia had returned. Lu Jia was still carrying a lot of fresh spiritual ingredients. However, Lu Jia's nose, which had just entered the house, keenly captured a crab's fragrance in the house. It looked very different as it nestled on the sofa, but it was still a sky-burning centipede fey. Lu Jia immediately knew that Zhongzhe had arrived. For some reason, Lu Jia had harbored some enmity towards Zhongzhe. Lu Jia couldn't figure out where this hostility came from. However, Lu Jia and Zhongzhe had been busy cooking in the kitchen during the last gathering, and they had become friends after exchanging cooking skills with each other. When eating at Zhongzhe's place, Lu Jia remembered that Lin Yuan had praised Zhongzhe's cooking more than once. And last time, because Zhongzhe was making the secret 300 plates of kitchen incense palace, he could only help Zhongzhe in the kitchen. Now that he was in the manor, he finally had a chance to compete with Zhongzhe. Since Zhongzhe was cooking, he would do it himself. This way, his and Zhongzhe's dishes could be served together for Lin Yuan to judge and see whose culinary skills were better. Lin Yuan scratched the back of his head as he watched Lu Jie rush to the kitchen after greeting him. He didn't understand why Lu Jie, who had always been steady, would suddenly become so energetic. However, Lin Yuan was still looking forward to the two chefs cooking together. During the few days he had gone to the Divine Wood Federation to train, Lin Yuan hadn't had a good meal, and he had suffered when eating in the Radiant Moon Palace. Now, he finally had a chance to have a feast. No matter how meticulous a chef's cooking was, they would not be too slow. In addition, there were only Lin Yuan, Wen Yu, Lu Jie, and Zhong Zai in the manor. The mother of Bloodbath, which could eat the most, was not in the manor. It had gone out to meet its friends in the food group. The mother of Bloodbath really didn't have the good fortune to eat. Lin Yuan estimated that in less than 40 minutes, Zhong Zai and Lu Jie each walked out of the kitchen with 5 dishes. Lin Yuan didn't know what had happened in the kitchen with Lu Jie and Lu Jie. However, what surprised him was that Zhong Zai and Lu Jie's 5 dishes used almost the same ingredients. It was just that the cooking methods of each dish were slightly different. Zhong Zai was good at steaming and stewing, while Lu Jie was good at frying and stir-frying. Each had their own specialties. For example, Zhong Zai used the method of steaming and boiling the crab roe from the kitchen incense palace's dragon lake. The fresh crab roe was dense, and the rich crab roe had a faint spicy taste in the mouth. The vinegar could seep the sour fragrance into the crab shell. Under the premise of fully moistening the crab meat, the vinegar's sour fragrance would perfectly combine with the crab roe to form an extremely fresh taste. Zhong Zai's method was probably in line with the saying 100 flavor acid is the best. Lu Jie first used his knife skills to dismember the crab roe and took out the crab roe. He used the crab roe as the base and stir-fried it with the seasoning in the pot. Then, he added some spicy side dishes and mixed them with the base made of crab roe. Finally, he covered the dismembered crab roe with the side dishes and used the spiciness of the side dishes and the fresh crab roe to cook the crab meat that was cooked over the fire. Letting the crab meat absorb the fragrance of the side dishes and crab roe was equivalent to forcibly fusing the crab roe's freshness into the chewy crab meat. It could be said that Lu Jie's and Zhong Zai's 5 dishes each had their own merits. If one had to compare, it could only be that everyone's different taste preferences. Those who liked light flavors tended to prefer Zhong Zai's method of boiling the crab roe with vinegar. Those with a stronger taste would like Lu Jie's method of cooking with sauce. Lin Yuan and Wen Yu, who were attracted by the aroma and color, did not see the fighting spirit in Zhong Zai's and Lu Jie's eyes at all. They also did not want to judge whose cooking skills were better. While Lin Yuan and Wen Yu were eating to their heart's content, Zhong Zai and Lu Jie kept their eyes on Lin Yuan and Wen Yu. They looked at which dish Lin Yuan and Wen Yu ate more to determine whose dish was more popular. Wen Yu was a foodie who could usually eat more than 4 bowls of rice. After Lin Yuan had used the geocentric jade milk to be reborn, his appetite was also much bigger than before. Food could be digested as soon as it entered the stomach. Therefore, Lin Yuan and Wen Yu almost took care of all 10 dishes. Halfway through, Lin Yuan and Wen Yu were a little embarrassed when they saw that Zhong Zai and Lu Jie had basically not moved their chopsticks. Finally, after Zhong Zai and Lu Jie made it clear that they could not eat anymore, Lin Yuan and Wen Yu used the whirlwind ladle and spiral chopsticks. Upon seeing the 10 plates being eaten clean, Zhong Zai and Lu Jie could not help but look at each other. After looking at each other, Zhong Zai and Lu Jie scratched the back of their heads in unison. When all the dishes were finished, the fighting spirit in Zhong Zai's and Lu Jie's eyes slowly decreased. For the time being, they would consider it a tie. Those who are afraid of hunger at night should try not to read this chapter first. Sob, sob, sob. End of this chapter. Chapter 1265. At that moment, Zhong Zai heard Lin Yuan, who had eaten and drunk to his heart's content, speak. Big brother Zhong, when you helped me get the Wind Crystal Aquarius from the Whale Ocean Trade's Myriad Origins Hall, did you notice that the Myriad Origins Hall was a little different from before? Lin Yuan had asked Zhong Zai because he wanted to see if there were any abnormalities with the Whale Ocean Trade's Myriad Origins Hall. It was impossible that the Myriad Origins Hall did not know that the Myriad Flags Hall had exterminated the Sea Sky Hall. If there were no abnormalities with the Myriad Origins Hall, it would be very strange no matter how he looked at it. On the other hand, Lin Yuan also wanted to find out more about the whale ocean trade from Zhongzhe. After all, one of the top 3 factions, the whale ocean trade had always been backed by Chef Supreme. As Chef Supreme's disciple, Zhongzhe must be very familiar with the whale ocean trade. Upon hearing Lin Yuan's words, Zhongzhe was not in a hurry to answer him. Instead, he began to think carefully. Zhongzhe had not interacted with Lin Yuan for long since he had known him. However, Zhongzhe knew that Lin Yuan was a person who had a clear purpose in every word he said. There was no need for others to spend too much effort to guess Lin Yuan's thoughts. Therefore, when Lin Yuan mentioned the whale ocean trade, there had to be a reason. In the process of thinking, Zhongzhe decided to tell Lin Yuan about the relationship between the Kitchen Fragrance Palace and the whale ocean trade. Brother, the relationship between the whale ocean trade and the Kitchen Fragrance Palace is not as good as before. The whale ocean trade has not come to the Kitchen Fragrance Palace to ask for Creation Master resources for 3 to 4 years. However, the whale ocean trade is still maintaining its tribute to the Kitchen Fragrance Palace, making others think that the relationship between the whale ocean trade and the Kitchen Fragrance Palace is still very close. If there is anything special about the whale ocean trade recently, it would be that after Di Wanqing has also successfully become an immortal. This news was leaked by the whale ocean trade itself. Currently, the whale ocean trade is the only faction with 2 immortals among the top 3 factions. At this point, Zhongzhe's expression paused slightly before he continued. After decades of development, the Rhine life form and the Brahma insect cage have obtained Creation Master resources from your master, the Moon Empress, and Gu Lang's master, the Bamboo Monarch. It is impossible for a faction to only have one Emperor-class expert who has become an immortal. It's just that the Rhine life form and the Brahma insect cage have never revealed their trump cards. Compared to the Rhine lifeform's Brahma bug cage, the fact that 2 experts from the whale ocean trade's self-detonation force are trying to get their hands on undying beings is much more high-profile. However, this kind of high-profile is understandable. Zhai Wantian's son, Zhai Hao, has already been confirmed to participate in the Radiance 100 sequence selection this year. The whale ocean trading company's Di Wantian only has one son. Zhai Hao is definitely the young patriarch of the whale ocean trading company's Myriad Banners branch. Zhai Hao should be 25 or 26 years old this year. He didn't participate in the Radiance 100 sequence selection previously, but he suddenly wants to participate this year. There's only one explanation. That is the whale ocean trade's 10,000 flags lineage, or rather, Zhai Hao. He isn't eyeing the Radiance 100 sequence. Instead, he wants to use the Radiance 100 sequence as a springboard to run for the Radiance Envoy selection in 2 years. This is the only reason why the whale ocean trade, which has always kept a low profile, would suddenly make such a high-profile decision. Upon hearing Zhongzhe's information, Lin Yuan increasingly felt that something was wrong with the whale ocean trading. If it was purely to build momentum, they would be willing to release the news that 2 experts in their clan had become immortals. It would destroy the balance that the 3 major factions had maintained for a long time. In that case, the whale ocean trade's 10,000 flags lineage had no reason to exterminate the Sea Sky lineage, where most of its members were Creation Masters. It had to be known that exterminating the Sea Sky lineage was equivalent to reducing the whale ocean trade's overall Creation Master reserves. This itself was contrary to the purpose of building momentum for Zhai Hao. When the members of the top factions participated in the Radiance 100 sequence test, they generally didn't need to have their identities verified. After all, the signboard of the top factions was there. However, if one wanted to participate in the Radiance Envoy selection, then no matter who it was, the Radiance Sacred Hall would clearly check their resume. He wasn't sure if his identity as the Sky City Lord would be found out, but his identity as Black, a spirit chi professional, was destined to not be hidden. The whale ocean trade's 10,000 flags lineage had used underhanded means to lure and kill the Sea Sky lineage. When Zhai Hao participated in the Radiance Envoy selection 2 years later, the Radiance Sacred Hall would definitely find out. This kind of internal strife using murder methods was a huge negative news. With this negative news, Jianghu was destined to be unable to become a Radiance envoy. It was impossible for the Whale Ocean Trade's 10,000 flags lineage to not know about this. Therefore, no matter how one looked at it, the Whale Ocean Trade's sudden high profile and Jianghu's sudden participation in the Radiance 100 sequence selection were more like a means to attract the world's attention to these two matters. It was to cover up some strange behavior of the Whale Ocean Trade itself. However, no matter how they hid it, even if Jianghu did not participate in the Radiance Envoy selection 2 years later, the Whale Ocean Trade's high profile was enough to attract the attention of the High Lords. The Whale Ocean Trade's purpose was so big. It was very likely to delay for 2 years. However, Lin Yuan couldn't understand why there was a need to delay time. What could the Whale Ocean Trade do in 2 years? However, these were just Lin Yuan's guesses. In short, through Zhongzai's words, Lin Yuan could confirm that Zhongzai was not clear about the specific situation inside the Whale Ocean Trade. However, from Zhongzai, Lin Yuan did indeed know a lot of information about the Whale Ocean Trade that he didn't know before. If he wanted to dig out the Whale Ocean Trade's potential goals, his best choice was to understand the situation through the Miao family's Beast Creation Garden, which was cooperating with the Whale Ocean Trade. The Blood Oath battle between the Blissful Sea clan and the Miao family's Beast Creation Garden was the crucial step to make the Miao family's Beast Creation Garden lean towards his identity as the Moon Empress disciple. When the Miao family's Beast Creation Garden was completely reliant on him, he would be able to see through the eyes of the Miao family's Beast Creation Garden and see what exactly the Whale Ocean Trading Company was up to. After the meal, Zhongzai prepared to bid farewell to Lin Yuan. The problem of misfortune on his side had been resolved, and the burning sky roar had completely purified his bloodline. Previously, the heaven-burning centipede had swallowed 8 high-grade heavenly flames and fused them into a peak-grade heavenly flame. Now, the heaven-burning roar could devour another 7 types of heavenly flames. Since the sky-burning hoe could control the top-notch red plum meteorite flame, it would naturally be able to control other top-notch heavenly flames. Zhongzai thought to himself. If he could gather 8 top-notch heavenly flames, the heaven-burning hoe's combat strength would definitely have a qualitative leap. Zhongzai also had an idea. Since 8 high-grade heavenly flames could fuse into a top-notch heavenly flame, would top-notch heavenly flames really be the end of heavenly flames? If he used the heaven-burning hoe's flame-tempering ability to fuse 8 top-notch heavenly flames, what would it be? End of this chapter. Chapter 1266. With that thought, Zhongzai's blood involuntarily boiled. However, even if he was the Chef Supreme's disciple, it was impossible to obtain 7 top-notch deviant flames at once. Therefore, whether his idea could be realized or not would depend on the subsequent exploration of the Abyss world through the Class 6 Abyss Dimensional Rift. Zhongzai was very confident in the exploration of the Abyss world. During this period of time, Gao Feng, Long Tao, and Sun Ningxiang had not been idle. The manpower that they had agreed upon was already in place. Zhongzai was even more assured of Lin Yuan's creation master resources. It was definitely Zhongzai's fortune to have a Class 6 Abyss Dimensional Rift in the Radiance Federation. Through the continuous exploration of the Abyss world, even if he, Lin Yuan, and the others could not find top-notch deviant flames. Then, when the other factions found top-notch deviant flames, he could also visit and see if he could use resources to exchange for the top-notch deviant flames in the other factions' hands. Zhongzai's sacred source lifeforms, the Heaven Scarlet Flame and the Heaven Burning Roar, had a large demand for deviant flames. As the Class 6 Abyss Dimensional Rift opened to the major factions, with the production of deviant flames in the Abyss world, his strength would definitely improve at a much faster rate. Zhongzai, who had been tormented by misfortune since he was young, finally realized that looking forward to the future and having light in the future was a very blissful thing. Seeing that Zhongzai stood up to bid farewell, Lin Yuan also quickly got up. He was prepared to send Zhongzai to the mansion's entrance. The moment Lin Yuan stepped out of the main mansion's doorstep, he saw a light yellow face standing on his cinnabar sweet osmanthus. It was an avian fay with a very delicate appearance. Lin Yuan looked at its scissor-like tail and nail-like beak. He was certain that this bird fay should be some kind of swallow. This light yellow bird fay was very pleasing to the eye while standing on the silver stamen gold luster cassia. Moreover, his mansion was within the royal capital. Even in the suburbs, there were very few wild fays that visited. Therefore, Lin Yuan subconsciously used Morbius True Data to investigate this light yellow swallow. Fay name, Coiled Fortune Swallow, Fay species, Feathered Swallow/House Swallow, Fay grade, Silver, 3/10, Fay type, Wood, Fay quality, Normal skills Frowny face Auspicious bond, find a plant fay with auspicious characteristics and form a nest on it. Your quality will become the same as the plant fay you form the nest with. Fortune source acceptance, consume the leaves and flowers of the auspicious plant fay that forms a nest with it. Absorb the auspicious aura in the leaves and flowers into the nest and seal it in the nest. As long as the nest is not destroyed, the auspicious aura in the nest will become increasingly dense. Auspicious fortune. When the auspicious aura in the nest reaches a certain level, the bird's nest will release blessings of good fortune in the surrounding area, increasing the luck of the blessed creatures. Exclusive skill, Noble Swallow. Before removing the contract with an auspicious plant fay, one cannot form a contract of any nature with any life form. The contracted auspicious plant fay can share the auspicious aura in the bird's nest. When he saw this fay, which was called a coiled fortune swallow under True Data, Lin Yun's eyes widened. Lin Yuan immediately knew what was going on when Ji Feng had said that everyone in the mansion was infected with an auspicious omen. This auspicious omen that benefited everyone in the mansion was this petite swallow with tender yellow feathers on the cinnabar sweet osmanthus. This coiled fortune swallow, which Lin Yuan had never heard of, had truly shocked him. This coiled fortune swallow should be a mutation of some kind of auspicious swallow species fay. Lin Yuan had seen plenty of auspicious fays of various sizes. The mountain river eternal life carp that he had personally nurtured was a superior auspicious omen. A carp could protect the mountains and rivers and ensure the peace of all living things. However, this coiled fortune swallow's ability was not inferior to the mountain river eternal life carp at all. In fact, to spirit chi professionals, the coiled fortune swallow was far more useful than the mountain river eternal life carp. Lin Yuan, who had seen the curse on Zhongzhe and Wang Fuxiang, knew very well that misfortune truly existed. If there was misfortune, there would naturally be good luck. The coiled fortune swallow's blessing could be transformed into good luck. It was the same as putting a layer of good luck buff on everyone in the mansion. It allowed everyone living in the mansion to be accompanied by good luck no matter what they did. Lin Yuan looked at the small pile of branches that the coiled fortune swallow had picked up from the cinnabar sweet osmanthus and thought to himself. Does this coiled fortune swallow intend to build a nest on the cinnabar sweet osmanthus? For a delicate fay like the coiled fortune swallow, if it did not intend to build a nest in the mansion, Lin Yuan really did not have any good ideas. The coiled fortune swallow's exclusive skill, high purity swallow, was destined that no spirit chi professional could contract a coiled fortune swallow. It was common knowledge that auspicious fays were difficult to nurture. Forcefully detaining the coiled fortune swallow might very likely cause its death. Moreover, if the coiled fortune swallow wanted to bless everyone in the mansion, it would first need to build a nest and fill the nest with auspicious chi. The coiled fortune swallow was unwilling to build a nest, eat, and accumulate auspicious chi. Even if the coiled fortune swallow was forcefully restrained, it would be useless. Since this coiled fortune swallow was silver 3, it meant that it must have formed a contract with an auspicious plant species fay. However, the bewitched fortune swallow had chosen to terminate the contract. It was either because that auspicious plant fay was already dead. Either that plant fay was already dead, or the coiled fortune swallow did not fancy it. In short, no matter what, the cinnabar sweet osmanthus, which bloomed all year round and produced a lot of honey, was the best choice for the coiled fortune swallow. As an osmanthus fay, the cinnabar sweet osmanthus had a pure aura. In addition, the cinnabar sweet osmanthus was all about spirit focus, chi gathering, and evil warding, which could make the coiled fortune swallow comfortable, so there was no reason for the coiled fortune swallow not to like it. More importantly, the cinnabar sweet osmanthus was legend. The coiled fortune swallow could use the auspicious binding pact to form a contract with the cinnabar sweet osmanthus. The coiled fortune swallow's quality would also immediately increase to legend. The increase in quality had a fatal attraction to any fae, and the coiled fortune swallow was naturally no exception. A creation master would need to expend a lot of effort to increase a fae's quality to legend, let alone in the wild. It was almost impossible to find a legend fae in the wild. Furthermore, the coiled fortune swallow did not need an ordinary legend fae or a legend plant fae. It needed an auspicious plant fae. It was unknown how long the coiled fortune swallow had searched for a needle in a haystack before finding the cinnabar sweet osmanthus. No matter how he looked at it, the coiled fortune swallow had no reason to give up on building its nest on the cinnabar sweet osmanthus. End of this chapter. Chapter 1267. The Radiance Federation's mid-spring weather had completely warmed up. People had taken off their thick and bulky warm clothes and changed into thin, unlined clothes. It happened to be a fine day today, and the clouds in the sky were like large pieces of cotton candy on a pale blue plate. The sunlight shone through the dense, pure white clouds and shone on people's bodies, no longer making them feel the scorching heat of direct sunlight. The warm sunlight was like a layer of clear glaze on people's bodies. When Lin Yuan, who was bathed in the sunlight, was observing the coiled fortune swallow, the coiled fortune swallow was also observing him. Perhaps it was because Lin Yuan had taken the geocentric jade milk and had been reborn, but the coiled fortune swallow was not very afraid of him. At that moment, the coiled fortune swallow flapped its wings and flew toward Lin Yuan's shoulder. The coiled fortune swallow's original appearance looked like a small swallow with tender yellow feathers and was inconspicuous. However, when it spread its wings and took off, everyone realized that it had 4 to 5 goose yellow feathers. One of these goose yellow feathers was particularly prominent, and it was more than 5 times the coiled fortune swallow's body length. Under the sunlight, a few of the light yellow feathers gave off a sparkling and translucent feeling. Lin Yuan suddenly keenly noticed that there was actually a deep wound on the coiled fortune swallow's lower abdomen. That was right. In the wild, a non-aggressive avian fae with such gorgeous feathers would easily attract the attention of predatory flying faes. Moreover, the gorgeous feathers would also affect its flying speed. This coiled fortune swallow had probably just experienced a life and death struggle before coming to the mansion. The coiled fortune swallow should be flying toward him to ask for help. It hoped that he could help it deal with its injuries. When the coiled fortune swallow landed on Lin Yuan's shoulder, Lin Yuan did not immediately turn his head. This was because he could feel that the coiled fortune swallow's feet were not in place, and he could hardly feel its weight on his shoulder. If he turned his head now, he would probably scare the coiled fortune swallow away. Lin Yuan secretly circulated the jasmine lily's heal ability, and a stream of vitality gushed out from his shoulder to heal the coiled fortune swallow's injured abdomen. After Lin Yuan expressed his goodwill, the coiled fortune swallow slowly let down its guard. After a long time, Lin Yuan finally felt some weight on his shoulder. It seemed like the blessed swallow had finally let down its guard against him. Although the blessing Xiangyan didn't trust him, some small movements shouldn't alarm the blessing Xiangyan. With that thought in mind, he slowly turned his head. Lin Yuan turned around and found the swallow Lux Xiangyan looking at him with its head tilted. His eyes were half timid, half inquisitive, and there was a tinge of gratitude in them. Upon seeing the lucky Xiangyan's adorable appearance, Lin Yuan's face immediately bloomed with a refreshing and sunny smile. A gust of wind blew and messed up Lin Yuan's hair. His hair blocked his eyes, leaving only the corners of his mouth curling up. When a young man opens his lips and smiles, auspicious birds come from the heavens. The young man's smile was frozen in the sunlight like a painting. In the eyes of Wen Yu, Lu Jia, and Zhong Zhe, this painting was indescribably stunning. Today, when Wen Yu, Zhong Zhe, and Lu Jia first saw Lin Yuan, they all felt that his facial features seemed to have become more exquisite overnight. At first, everyone thought it was just an illusion. However, after careful observation, even if Wen Yu and Lu Jia could always see Lin Yuan, it was difficult to notice the changes in his appearance. They still found that Lin Yuan's facial features and bones had changed a little. The changes in appearance and bones often came from the improvement of the genetic model. It seemed that Lin Yuan had obtained a genetic upgrade in the Radiant Moon Palace last night. This discovery couldn't help but make Zhong Zhe, Lu Jia, and when you feel a wave of pressure. As he looked at the blessed Xiangyan, Lin Yuan suddenly thought of that legend. If that legend was true, the ones who benefited the most from the blessed Xiangyan's arrival were actually not the people in the mansion or the blessed Xiangyan itself. Instead, it was the cinnabar sweet osmanthus on which the blessed Xiangyan had built its nest. It was rumored that among the top 10 auspicious osmanthus phase, the vermilion beauty jade containing osmanthus had evolved from the cinnabar sweet osmanthus. This rumor had caused the price of the cinnabar sweet osmanthus to soar in the early years, and it could even reach more than 5 times its original value. But in the end, these buyers who cultivated the cinnabar sweet osmanthus and wanted to evolve it into the vermilion beauty jade containing osmanthus had all suffered huge losses. This was because the cinnabar sweet osmanthus was just like a rock, and there was no trend of evolution or mutation no matter what was used to induce it. In the end, a Class 4 creation master discovered that when the cinnabar sweet osmanthus absorbed the auspicious aura, its flowers would become even redder than before. This meant that the auspicious aura could promote the cinnabar sweet osmanthus's evolution. At that time, the cinnabar sweet osmanthus's value had already plummeted due to the cultivator's failures. In the end, the Class 4 creation master wrote his discovery into a paper and posted it on the star web. This paper made those who had bought the cinnabar sweet osmanthus and dreamed of cultivating it into the vermilion beauty jade containing osmanthus cursed. The auspicious aura was the foundation for the evolution of auspicious phase, and it was also one of the reasons why auspicious phase were so expensive. Extracting the auspicious aura from the auspicious phase was no different from taking the life of the auspicious phase. If the cultivators really had the spare money to buy a large number of auspicious phase, who would be willing to rack their brains to evolve the cinnabar sweet osmanthus to make money? In the end, the craze for cultivating the cinnabar sweet osmanthus slowly subsided. In order to prove his point of view, the Class 4 creation master had spent a lot of resources to buy auspicious phase. He had extracted the auspicious aura from the auspicious phase to nourish the cinnabar sweet osmanthus. As a result, every time a certain amount of auspicious aura was absorbed, the cinnabar sweet osmanthus would undergo a change. In the end, the Class 4 creation master had extracted the auspicious aura from 1000 auspicious phase and still wasn't able to evolve the cinnabar sweet osmanthus into the vermilion beauty jade containing osmanthus. In the end, the Class 4 creation master had been so angry that he had chopped down the cinnabar sweet osmanthus that he had planted. He had even recorded the process of chopping down the tree and posted it on the star web, becoming the star web's annual joke. At that time, Lin Yuan hadn't browsed the star web yet, but this annual joke had been posted on the forum that Lin Yuan frequented. Therefore, Lin Yuan knew about this matter. After obtaining a large amount of knowledge through genius, Lin Yuan could confirm that the auspicious aura could indeed induce the cinnabar sweet osmanthus to evolve. Otherwise, the cinnabar sweet osmanthus wouldn't have undergone a change after absorbing the auspicious aura. Lin Yuan reckoned that the fundamental reason for the Class 4 creation master's failure was that there wasn't enough auspicious aura to nurture the cinnabar sweet osmanthus. It couldn't reach the standard for the cinnabar sweet osmanthus to evolve into the vermilion beauty jade containing osmanthus. When the auspicious swallow built its nest on the cinnabar sweet osmanthus, it could use its ability to share the auspicious aura with the cinnabar sweet osmanthus. This allowed the cinnabar sweet osmanthus to have the possibility of evolving. If the cinnabar sweet osmanthus could really evolve into the vermilion beauty jade containing osmanthus, which was ranked at the top of the 10 major auspicious osmanthus phase, Lin Yuan would have another way to make money. End of this chapter. Chapter 1268. The juice of the great beauty jade cassia could slow down the aging process and whiten and smooth the skin. If the osmanthus honey of great beauty was applied to the face for a long time, it could even restore the youthful appearance of a person in their 20s. This effect was enough to make any female spirit chi professional go crazy. Of course, Whether or not the cinnabar sweet osmanthus could evolve into the great beauty jade containing osmanthus still depended on whether or not this rumor was accurate. But no matter what, being able to evolve the cinnabar sweet osmanthus was a good thing. As a Class 2 creation master, when you couldn't immediately recognize the coiled fortune swallow's ability. However, Zhongzhe was already close to the standard of a Class 4 creation master. As soon as Zhongzhe saw the uniqueness of the coiled fortune swallow, he immediately stopped them from doing anything. He told Lu Jia and Wen Yu to remain calm. Upon seeing that the bewitched fortune swallow had let down its guard against Lin Yuan, Zhongzhe took the initiative to speak. "Ah Yuan, congratulations on having such an auspicious guest in your manor." Lin Yuan replied with a smile. "It's all thanks to Big Brother Zong. If Big Brother Zong didn't say goodbye at the right time, I might have missed this little guy." Lin Yuan was not being courteous, but his true thoughts. The swallow Xiangyan's abdomen was injured. The cinnabar sweet osmanthus's skill targeted the mind. It was unable to effectively heal Fu Xiangyan's physical injuries. In order to recover from his injuries as soon as possible, the coiled fortune swallow might fly out of the manor to think of a solution. Even if the lucky swallows had set their sights on the cinnabar sweet osmanthus, they would still return in the end. However, it was hard to guarantee that the eye-catching feathers of the good fortune swallow would not bring trouble to the good fortune swallow. If the lucky swallow died outside, then the fortune of everyone in the manor would slip away. After sending Zhongzhe away, Lin Yuan activated the source sand. Then, a large number of black feathers separated from the source sand and formed several pairs of wings behind Lin Yuan. He flapped his wings and brought the lucky swallow on his shoulder to the cinnabar sweet osmanthus's trunk. He found the flattest part of the trunk and tried to grab the coiled fortune swallow on his shoulder. However, just as his hand was about to touch the coiled fortune swallow, it had already jumped to the trunk. She did not give Lin Yuan a chance to touch her. Upon seeing this, Lin Yuan knew that the coiled fortune Xiangyan had let down its guard against him. However, the prerequisite for letting down his guard was to keep a safe distance from the Xiangyan. Lin Yuan did not care about this. Instead, he picked some suitable cinnabar sweet osmanthus branches and broke them off. He took a feather and cut the cassia branch into 7 or 8 centimeters long sections. He used these branches to build a simple nest on the cinnabar sweet osmanthus. Then, he returned to the ground and withdrew his black wings. He knew that the fortune Xiangyan would not live in the nest he had built. He was only doing this to express his thoughts to the coiled fortune swallow and tell it that it could build its nest here with peace of mind. In the future, if there were any problems with the nest, he could ask for his help. As a bird fey with extremely high vigilance, it was impossible for it to build a nest under their noses. Thus, Lin Yuan pulled them back to the main mansion. Upon seeing the dumbfounded expressions on Lu Jie's and Wen Yu's faces, Lin Yuan explained the coiling fortune swallow's ability to them. Lu Jie and Wen Yu had never thought that there would be such a big opportunity under their noses. If Lin Yuan had not discovered this opportunity and Zhongzhe had taken the initiative to stop them, they would have probably slipped away. This opportunity would have slipped away because of the two of them. This matter made Lu Jie think to himself. It's indeed easier for creation masters to seize opportunities. Wen Yu was thinking that there was a huge gap between her and Lin Yuan's creation master standards. She needed to touch the Fae and carefully investigate it to be able to figure out the ability, but Lin Yuan only needed to look at it. After nightfall, Lin Yuan quietly stepped out of the mansion. He found that the nest he had built for the coiled fortune swallow had been kicked to the ground by it. At the place where he had built the nest, there was a nest prototype made of a bunch of fine branches with goose-yellow feathers. Lin Yuan did not disturb the coiled fortune swallow, which was happily sucking the nectar and pecking the petals among the cinnabar sweet osmanthus. He turned around and returned to the main mansion to sleep in peace. The next morning, after breakfast, Lin Yuan went to Star Web to meet Qi Heng and Qi Haidao, who had been waiting for a day. When Lin Yuan met them, his attitude was very unyielding. He could not be bothered to talk nonsense. He went straight to the point. Yesterday, I heard that the two of you allowed me to state any conditions. You can accept any conditions, right? Qi Heng and Qi Haidao heard Lin Yuan's words and looked at each other. Then, Qi Heng stepped forward and said to Lin Yuan, "City Lord, you are right. City Lord, you are right. No matter what conditions you have, you can state them directly. Our blissful sea tribe will do our best to fulfill your conditions." Although Qi Heng had a smile on his old face as he spoke, his eyes were abnormally dim. From Lin Yuan's tone, Qi Heng knew that Lin Yuan did not have the patience to negotiate with the blissful sea tribe. Next, Lin Yuan would state his conditions directly and would not give the blissful sea tribe any chance to bargain. As expected, Qi Haidao heard Lin Yuan say indifferently, "In that case, hand over all of the blissful sea tribe's industries and resources to Sky City. As the city lord of Sky City, I promise to help you win the blood oath battle against the Miao family's beast creation garden and give you a chance to live. As for where you will go, it will be up to you. In short, hand over all of the blissful sea tribe's assets." Lin Yuan's words surprised Qi Heng. Qi Heng thought that at the very least, Lin Yuan would let them stay in the blissful sea tribe and maintain the operations of the blissful sea tribe's industries. He did not expect Lin Yuan to underestimate the value of the blissful sea tribe and only choose to absorb the blissful sea tribe's industries. In that case, even if they won the blood oath battle against the Miao family's beast creation garden, they would still be chased out of the blissful sea tribe like stray dogs. Qi Heng quickly said, "City Lord, why don't you?" Before Qi Heng could finish speaking, Lin Yuan interrupted him. "My conditions are my bottom line. If you think that my conditions are not good enough, then you can have the blood oath battle against the Miao family. After the blood oath battle is over, Sky City will initiate the blood oath battle against the Miao family's beast creation garden. The blissful sea tribe will still belong to Sky City. As for what will happen to you, you know it best." After saying that, Lin Yuan stood up and put on a posture as if he was about to leave. Seeing that Lin Yuan was about to leave, Qi Haidao quickly knelt on the ground. He said to Lin Yuan before Qi Heng could leave. End of this chapter. Chapter 1269. City Lord, we, the blissful sea tribe, will obey your request. We will do as you say. However, I have a piece of information here. I would like to use this information to make a deal with you, sir. In exchange for resources for our blissful sea tribe, we can start anew." Upon hearing that, Lin Yuan lowered his head to look at Qi Haidao, who was prostrating on the ground, and felt a trace of interest. Since Qi Haidao dared to discuss a deal with him at this time, he must have some incredible information. Lin Yuan said indifferently, "If this information is valuable, when your Qi family leaves the Paradise Sea tribe, I can give you 5 million radiance dollars as startup capital." Qi Haidao's expression flickered. The last time he came to Sky City Star Web private faction territory, he was on equal footing with Sky City's City Lord. Now, in front of the Lord of Sky City, he had become a stray dog. As for whether he could use this condition to exchange for 5 million radiance dollars, Qi Haidao knew that he couldn't make the decision and still had to see Qi Heng's opinion. So Qi Haidao looked at Qi Heng. Qi Heng nodded helplessly when he saw Qi Haidao looking at him. The source of this information was right under the few islands that the blissful sea tribe had bought in the distant sea. Once Sky City occupied those islands, they would discover this secret sooner or later. If he could exchange it for some resources, it would be the best choice. However, 5 million radiance dollars were too little. Any bronze/epic Fae could be sold for 30 million radiance dollars. As a Class 4 creation master, he could create 5 million radiance dollars in a day or two. To put it bluntly, Qi Heng was not interested in the 5 million radiance dollars that Lin Yuan offered. However, Qi Heng knew that he and the others were not qualified to bargain with the Castellan of Sky City. If bargaining now angered the City Lord of Sky City, then the City Lord of Sky City would definitely not help the Sea of Bliss tribe. In that case, the blissful sea tribe would be as good as wax. When Qi Haidao saw Qi Heng nod, he spoke to Lin Yuan. "City Lord, there was a huge whale crash under the island that our Sea of Bliss tribe purchased." Upon hearing Qi Haidao's words, Lin Yuan immediately widened his eyes. Fuck. What was going on? Why did he encounter so many fortuitous encounters recently? The whale fall was a gift from nature to the sea. Even a small whale fall could bring a feast of life to the bottom of the sea, let alone a large whale fall. When hundreds of giant whale fays were buried at the bottom of the sea at the end of their lifespans, they would provide unimaginable nutrients for the entire sea region. It was enough to turn this deep-sea fish fay farm into a super fishery. Any fish fay raised in it could grow at the fastest speed. In the process of decomposing the numerous cetacean fays corpses at the bottom of the sea, the ocean currents would sweep a large amount of nutrients to the surface. The nutrients from the bottom of the sea to the surface could even give many aquatic fays the opportunity to evolve and mutate. In fact, a large whale fall could not only bring benefits to the fishery. It could also bring a major opportunity to the floating island whale and the Spirit Lock spatial zone. If what Chi Haitao said was true, then there was a huge whale fall under the island of the Sea of Bliss. In that case, his floating island whale should be able to hatch as soon as possible with the energy of this large whale fall. At the same time, he also obtained a lot of unhatched island whales at the location of the large whale fall. Lin Yuan looked at Qi Wangyang and said seriously. If the information you gave is true, and there is really a large whale fall below the island, I can guarantee the safety of your Qi family for 3 years. 3 years is enough for the Qi family to make a comeback and develop into a rising force. At that time, if someone dares to make a move against your Qi clan, they will have to apply for a blood oath extreme duel. This will give your Qi family a chance to prepare in advance. Upon hearing Lin Yuan's words, Chi Haitao and Chi Heng were confused. She did not understand what Lin Yuan meant by that. When Sky City destroyed the Miao family's beast creation garden, although the Qi family would not have the resources of the Blissful Ocean clan, their combat power would still be there. No one would come looking for excitement. Therefore, neither Chi Haitao nor Chi Heng took Lin Yuan's promise seriously. However, both of them put on a grateful expression and thanked Lin Yuan profusely. After the matter was settled, Chi Heng and Chi Haitao were about to leave. At that moment, they heard Lin Yuan say faintly, "That's right. The Miao family's beast creation garden has established a relationship with Whale Ocean Trading. They are currently cooperating with Whale Ocean Trading. I believe you should have heard that Whale Ocean Trading already has 2 experts who have become immortals. Don't spread the news that Sky City is helping the Blissful Ocean clan in a blood oath extreme duel. It's best if only the 2 of you know. When you go back, just treat it as Sky City rejecting the Blissful Ocean clan. If the Blissful Ocean clan leaks the news and the Miao family's beast creation garden hears about it, you will still have to die. If the Miao family's beast creation garden seeks Whale Ocean Trading's help, even if they seek Sky City's help, you will still have to die." Upon hearing Lin Yuan's words, Chi Haitao and Chi Heng immediately understood what he meant. The Blissful Ocean clan's people were in a mess now. Someone might have secretly sided with the Miao family. If this matter spread to the Miao family's beast creation garden, the consequences would be unimaginable. However, Lin Yuan's tone was too cold. He only said that the Qi family had to die, but didn't the Emperor-class experts from Sky City have to die? Could it be that Sky City's city lord did not care about the Emperor-class experts' lives? Was it because Sky City had so many Emperor-class experts that they did not need to care about them? Or was it because Sky City's city lord himself was a scumbag? Lin Yuan, who had been misunderstood as a scumbag by Chi Haitao and Chi Heng, was actually not afraid that the Beast Creation Garden would seek help from Whale Ocean Trading. This was because before coming to Star Web, Lin Yuan had received a message from the Void Shadow Devil. The Void Shadow Devil hoped to undergo a source baptism as soon as possible so that it could use the source baptism to break through to a Class 12-dimensional life form. There was still more than a day before the Blissful Ocean Clan and the Miao family's Beast Creation Garden's Blood Oath Extreme Duel. There was enough time for the Void Shadow Devil to undergo the source baptism and break through before the Blood Oath Extreme Duel. Therefore, when it helped the Blissful Ocean Clan in the Blood Oath Extreme Duel, the Void Shadow Devil would already be at the immortal level. Even if the news was leaked and the Miao family's beast creation garden really borrowed an immortal expert's help from whale ocean trading, the Void Shadow Devil might still be able to put up a fight. If it really could not beat it, it would be better to let the Void Shadow Devil hide in the shadows and not appear. In any case, with the Void Shadow Devil's concealment ability, unless an expert of the same grade possessed an immortal fae that specialized in scouting. Otherwise, it would be very difficult to discover the Void Shadow Devil's existence. Chapter 1270. Therefore, even if the news of Sky City helping the Blissful Ocean Tribe in the Blood Oath duel got out, the Miao family's beast creation garden would seek help from Whale Ocean Trade's immortal experts. Qi Heng hurriedly promised, "City Lord, don't worry. City Governor, don't worry. It's already a great honor for our Blissful Sea Tribe to have you help us. We, the Sea of Bliss, will naturally not cause trouble for Sky City. When I return to the family, I will say that the Blissful Ocean Tribe did not seek help from Sky City. When filling in the Blood Oath dual member list, I will randomly fill in 3 names. When we arrive at the Extreme Arena, Lord Guhan will ask if we have confirmed the participants for the competition. At that time, I will temporarily replace Haitao with an expert that you have sent. I can use this opportunity to see how the Blissful Ocean Tribe's people are." Qi Heng no longer cared about the Blissful Ocean Tribe's former glory. Instead, he was thinking about how to make the Blissful Ocean Tribe develop from scratch. This disaster to the Blissful Ocean Tribe was also a test for the Blissful Ocean Tribe. It could help Qi Heng test the hearts of every member of the Blissful Ocean Tribe. The Miao family's beast creation garden had initiated the Blood Oath duel with the Blissful Ocean Tribe because the current family head, Qi Wangyang, was too arrogant and did not know what was good for him. Even if the Miao family's beast creation garden had lost 2 Emperor-class experts to Sky City. After that, they were suppressed by the surging public opinion. However, as an old faction, the Blissful Ocean Tribe should not have gone against the Miao family's beast creation garden. However, as the family head, Qi Wangyang did not even know that a broken ship still had 3,000 nails. It was truly ironic. Qi Haitao's decisiveness made Qi Heng feel that Qi Haitao was more suitable to be the family head of the Blissful Ocean Tribe than Qi Wangyang. Qi Wangyang would have to pay for his mistakes after this incident was over. In fact, a few days after Qi Wangyang had gone against the Miao family's beast creation garden, Qi Heng had confirmed that the faction that was collecting the Aurora pollen in the market was not the Beast Creation Garden. The Beast Creation Garden had always been at odds with the Dew Immortal Garden, and plant phase were the Dew Immortal Garden's specialty. Therefore, the Miao family did not have much say in the plant-type Fey market. Through his investigations, Qi Heng discovered that the Dew Immortal Garden had always been controlling the quantity of spiritual materials like the Aurora pollen on the market. He also relied on his own huge inventory to create the illusion that there was a sufficient stock of Aurora pollen on the market. That was why the Blissful Sea Tribe, who had been focused on the far sea fishery, did not notice the unusual amount of Aurora pollen in the market. Apart from the Dew Immortal Garden, Qi Heng also discovered that the purchase with no loss store on Star Web, which had become an internet celebrity, was also participating. This small Star Web store had been secretly increasing its stock of Aurora pollen by using blind barter. If an ordinary person did not rear angelfish of bliss, it would be useless for him to have so much Aurora pollen. Moreover, even if they were raising angelfish of bliss, there was no need to hoard such a large amount of Aurora pollen. In addition, spiritual materials like Aurora pollen were not easy to store and would go bad after 2 years. If a picky and delicate Fey like the angelfish of bliss were to eat the moldy Aurora pollen, it would soon be infected and die. Therefore, it could be confirmed that the depletion of Aurora pollen in the market was a joint scheme by the purchase with no loss store and the top faction, the Dew Immortal Garden. After investigating this point, Qi Heng did not have the time to be angry with the Dew Immortal Garden and the purchase with no loss store. The Miao family had initiated a Blood Oath extreme duel with the Blissful Sea Tribe in the Beast Creation Garden. Now that he had obtained the promise from the Sky City Lord, it could be said that the dust had settled. After the dust settled, Qi Heng originally thought that he would hate the Dew Immortal Garden and the purchase with no loss store. However, at that moment, Qi Heng could not hate the Du Immortal Garden and the Purchase with No Loss store anymore. Instead, a strong sense of fear grew in his heart. The Du Immortal Garden had experienced a major change a few years ago, but it was still firmly sitting on the throne of a top faction. This meant that the Du Immortal Garden definitely had an Emperor-class expert presiding over it. In addition, the Blissful Sea tribe had participated in the Nix assembly and personally seen Sun Ningxiang standing in the circle of Her Holiness disciple. Even if Qi Heng had the guts of a tiger, he would not dare to provoke such a person. Moreover, the fact that the Du Immortal Garden was willing to set up a trap with the Purchase with No Loss store meant that there was also a Colossus standing behind the store. Otherwise, there would not be a chance for the Purchase with No Loss store and the Du Immortal Garden to cooperate. In addition, it was no secret that the Du Immortal Garden and Sky City had a good relationship. If he dared to take revenge on the Du Immortal Garden afterward, it was very likely that the Du Immortal Garden would not have to make a move. In order to maintain its relationship with the Du Immortal Garden, Sky City had taken the initiative to deal with the Qi family, which had become a stray dog. Qi Heng now only hoped that when the Qi family started over again, the Du Immortal Garden and the Purchase with No Loss store would let the Qi family off. They would not set up a trap for the Qi family anymore. If there was any problem on his side, Qi Heng would even be willing to take the initiative to look for them. He would ask for the forgiveness of the Du Immortal Garden and the Purchase with No Loss store. Between life and death, Qi Heng understood that the old power that he was so proud of was not that great of a background. If he provoked someone he should not provoke, he would also disappear from the world. Upon seeing that Qi Heng understood what he meant, Lin Yuan immediately asked him to leave. Lin Yuan's mind was now focused on the Void Shadow Devil's breakthrough. If the Void Shadow Demon could successfully advance to rank 12, his subordinates would finally have the power of an undying. Even if Lin Yuan did not rely on the Moon Empress' help, he could still act freely. In the Radiance Federation, the Immortal Combat Power could already be considered a true pinnacle combat power. Furthermore, the Void Shadow Fiend wasn't as simple as advancing to a level 12 dimensional creature. Pouring 9,900 portions of Source-type energy into the Nihility Shadowless Demon's Source-type baptism was enough to raise the Nihility Shadowless Demon's life level. The Void Shadow Fiend that transformed into an apostle would obtain a second innate ability. At that time, the Nothingness Shadow Fiend would undergo a qualitative transformation in both strength and functionality. After Qi Haitao and Qi Wangyang left Sky City's private territory, Lin Yuan opened the territory's access control and left Star Web. After leaving Star Web, he returned to his room and entered the Spirit Lock spatial zone in a flash. Lin Yuan, who had returned to the Spirit Lock spatial zone, said to the Void Shadow Fiend, "The Void Shadow Fiend is in the Spirit Lock spatial zone. Shadow, I've prepared the Source-type energy for your Source-type baptism. You have to rely on yourself for the rest. Given my current strength, even if you encounter danger during the metamorphosis, I may not be able to help." End of this chapter. Chapter 1271. Upon hearing Lin Yuan's words, the Void Shadow Demon hurriedly knelt on the ground in excitement. It's Shadow's blessing to be able to obtain the Lord Ruler's Source-type power. Shadow will definitely live up to the Lord Ruler's expectations and successfully reach Class 12. After being in contact with Shadow for so long, Lin Yuan knew that Shadow had a cautious personality. It would not do things that it was not confident of. Otherwise, it would not have been able to resist the temptation when he wanted to perform the Source-type baptism on Shadow. He was prepared to wait until he was confident of advancing to Class 12 before using the Source-type baptism for a double blessing. Since Shadow said so, it meant that it was already fully confident. Previously, Lin Yuan had specifically asked Bai Yan if there would be a fatal risk for dimensional lifeforms to advance from Class 11 to Class 12. Bai Yan's answer was that there was a possibility of failure for dimensional lifeforms to advance from Class 11 to Class 12. However, even if it failed, it would not die. Therefore, there was nothing for Lin Yuan to worry about. Lin Yuan took the Void Shadow Demon across Klein Hub to the Swamp World and prepared to let Shadow undergo the Source-type baptism in the Swamp World to break through. As a dimensional life form, it was not convenient for the Void Shadow Demon to advance in the Abyss World. However, advancing in the swamp world, which was a dimensional world like the abyss world, was much more suitable than in the main world. After arriving in the swamp world, Lin Yuan realized that only 2 days had passed. A lot of fruit trees had been planted in a delineated area in the distance. It seemed that what he had said to those spirit craftsmen had worked. Coincidentally, during these 2 days, Lin Yuan had taken the time to enhance some bronze/epic phase that the spirit craftsman needed. It was a piece of cake for Lin Yuan to enhance bronze/epic phase now, and it would not take much time. The only thing that took Lin Yuan a little longer was the bronze/legend Fei that he had prepared for Lu Tong. He saw a Medusa demon planting flowers and plants on the marsh moss, and this Medusa demon was the closest to him. Lin Yuan decided to call this Medusa over and order it to find Lu Tong. Then, he would hand over the benefits that he had promised the spirit craftsman to Lu Tong and let him distribute them. Lin Yuan had thought that these Medusa demons were afraid of him and might have some difficulty communicating. However, he didn't expect that after he called out to this Medusa would look at him with eyes full of worship and respect. Lin Yuan found it a little strange. It had only been 2 days, and he didn't stay in the swamp world to spend time with this Medusa demon during these 2 days. Why was this Medusa demon not afraid of him? In fact, when Lin Yuan had left the Spirit Lock spatial zone the last time, his identity as a ruler had spread among the Medusa demons in the territory. To these Medusa demons who were still dimensional creatures, apostles were already unreachable existences. That was to say nothing of the level above the apostles, the rulers that only existed in legends. To be able to live in the same territory as the hegemon, to be able to interact with the hegemon at such a close distance, and to admire the hegemon's beauty, this was something that the Medusa snake demons didn't even dare to dream of. After learning of Lin Yuan's request, the Medusa demon seemed to be going to complete a sacred mission. It put down the work at hand and twisted its body. He walked solemnly towards the area where the spirit craftsmen were working. Upon seeing this, Lin Yuan turned around and entered the breeding room where the 50-100 questions beasts were working. This breeding room was built in a hurry and didn't look like much from the outside. However, the internal space was extremely large. 100 questions beast occupied a room that was about the size of a square meter, and the room was equipped with top-notch creation master tools. During Lin Yuan's ward rounds, none of the 50-100 questions beasts had disappointed him. In 2 days, almost every 100 questions beast had concocted 5 bottles of Class 3 spirit liquids. Among them, Fat Orange, which Lin Yuan had personally nurtured, had concocted as many as 7 bottles of Class 3 spirit liquids. In these 2 days, the 100 Questions Beast Legion had provided him with a total of 281 bottles of Class 3 spirit liquids. Lin Yuan was very satisfied with this. After setting up some cat trees and toys for these 50-100 questions beasts in the breeding room, Lin Yuan left the breeding room. After leaving the breeding room, Lin Yuan saw Lu Tong, who was covered in mud, standing at attention 20 meters in front of the building. Upon seeing Lin Yuan appear at the building's entrance, Lu Tong hurriedly took 2 steps forward and arrived beside Lin Yuan. He spoke to Lin Yuan with a face full of smiles. "My lord, in less than a week, we will be able to complete the light room that your cat Fei asked us to build." Upon hearing Lu Tong's words, Lin Yuan reached out to pat off the mud on Lu Tong's chest and shoulders. He said, "Lu Tong, please put in more effort to make arrangements for the construction." "Yes, this is the Fei that you reported previously. I have brought it for you this time." After speaking, Lin Yuan handed a diamond Fei storage box to Lu Tong. Lin Yuan knew about the light room that Lu Tong had mentioned. This was the temporary work that Genius had arranged for the spirit craftsman to plant the soldier supply radishes in the Spirit Lock spatial zone. The purpose of the light room was to allow the soldier supply radishes to grow better. Therefore, putting aside the original work and building the light room first was the best choice for development. When Lu Tong heard Lin Yuan's words, he was immediately stunned. He didn't dare to accept the diamond Fei storage box that Lin Yuan handed over. It would be a lie to say that Lu Tong wasn't pleasantly surprised. As the person with vested interests, Lu Tong was undoubtedly happier than the other spirit craftsmen. The other spirit craftsman had only obtained bronze/epic phase, while Lu Tong had obtained a bronze/legend fey. However, compared to being pleasantly surprised, Lu Tong was more surprised and touched. In just 2 days, the city lordess that they were loyal to had brought 34 bronze/epic fays and 1 bronze/legend fey according to their needs. Let's not talk about what kind of resources this was. More importantly, this matter could show that the city lord that he was loyal to didn't look down on them just because they were insignificant spirit craftsmen. Instead, the city lord had kept the promise to them in mind and immediately started to make preparations. The respect that came from caring made Lu Tong's heart thump. When Lu Tong didn't accept the diamond fey storage box, Lin Yuan shook his wrist and said, "Let's see if there are any problems with the fays in the fey storage box. Let's see if there are any problems with the fays in the fey storage box first. If there are any problems when you distribute them later, remember to report them." A few of the fays' bloodlines have evolved and mutated during the enhancement process. They are somewhat different from the fays that were originally reported. However, the direction of these fays mutations and evolutions are all positive, so I didn't exchange these fays. Upon hearing Lin Yuan's words, Lu Tong immediately realized that he had been in a daze. ABC. Chapter 1272. Lu Tong hurriedly took the diamond fey storage box from Lin Yuan's palm and thought to himself, "I wonder which fellow is so lucky to actually obtain a fey that has undergone a positive mutation and evolution." A bronze fey was a good evolution and mutation fey that was hard to come by. Anyone who obtained one would probably jump with joy. It was impossible for anyone to dislike a fey with a positive mutation. After instructing Lu Tong took the diamond fey storage box and went back to work. At that moment, the slaughter sky butterfly came to Lin Yuan's side and said, "That's right. Young master, Wendy, Shiteng, and Bai Xian aren't in the territory right now. If you need anything from them, I'll help you find them immediately." Lin Yuan shook his head. As apostles, Wendy, Shiteng, and Bai Xian shouldn't be like flowers in a greenhouse. Having the opportunity to go out and gain experience was a good thing. Furthermore, he had nothing to look for them in the spirit lock spatial zone this time, so he did not need to call them back. Through his previous conversation with Bai Yan, Lin Yuan had learned about the division of the swamp region. Lin Yuan secretly placed the battlefield in the swamp world on Tatungong. Thus, as his apostles, Shiteng, Wendy, and Bai Xian needed to grow as fast as possible. Kill the sky butterfly, let the 3 of them train outside. If there's nothing urgent, there's no need to call them back. By the way, how has your bloodline recovered recently? The slaughterer sky butterfly replied. Thanks to the earth-type heavenly maiden grade elemental pearl that young master gave me, my bloodline has completely recovered. Also, I have just advanced to the monarch stage, so I need some time to adapt to the increase in my strength. However, if I want to improve my strength again, I won't be able to face a new creation tribulation in a short period of time. As it spoke, the slaughterer butterfly could not help but sigh softly. The slaughter sky butterfly, which possessed the supreme bloodline of the 3 butterfly species phase, had always been conceited about its strength improvement speed. During this period of time in the swamp world, the killer butterfly saw the strength of the dimensional creatures increase. He realized that compared to dimensional lifeforms, it was much more difficult for him to increase his strength as a fey. The way dimensional creatures relied on devouring flesh to raise their levels reminded the slaughter butterfly of when it was still a slaughter worm. However, now that he had transformed into a slaughter butterfly, he wanted to rely on the slaughter worms to increase his strength. It was already impossible. It was not that the killer butterfly had not thought of asking him for some law crystals. Previously, he had used a large number of rule crystals to forcefully raise his strength to a creation breed. However, Lin Yuan had taken the initiative to give it to him previously. Now, the killer butterfly had to ask Lin Yuan for it. The scourge sky butterfly was too embarrassed to open its mouth. At that moment, the killer butterfly saw Lin Yuan handed a small wooden box. When the predator butterfly opened it, it was almost blinded by the small wooden chest full of law crystals. The killer butterfly only heard Lin Yuan's words. There are 2,000 law crystals in here. Take them and use them first. Tell Zixiao to inform me when you're done. I'll prepare it for you. I will continue to provide you with law crystals until your strength increases to the 5 tribulations of creation. After you advance to the 5th tribulation of creation, you'll need the world crystal to increase your strength. It's really difficult for me to obtain a world crystal at the moment. Therefore, when it comes to the 5 tribulations of creation, you will need to work hard on your own. As he spoke, Lin Yuan could not help but think of the world origin crystal he had given to Princess and the 2 world crystals he had given to her. That world origin crystal had been completely absorbed by Princess. However, it would take her 7 days to absorb each of the 2 world crystals. In order to protect Zheng Kaiyuan and Miao Ji, the Miao family's beast creation garden had been extorted 2 world crystals. One of them was produced by the Class 1 creation Holy Rejuvenation White Deer. The other one was from a level 3 monarch rank creation stage 2nd level submerged blue whale. After Princess absorbed the law origin crystal, compared to the submerged ocean blue whale's law crystal, Princess had never absorbed the wood law and world law. She undoubtedly wanted to absorb the Holy Rejuvenation White Deer's law crystal. But in the end, Lin Yuan still decided to let Princess absorb the submerged ocean blue whale's law crystal. Lin Yuan had the healing type Fei, the jasmine lily, whose existence could already meet most of Lin Yuan's medical needs. Therefore, no matter how strategic the Holy Rejuvenation White Deer's law crystal was, the absorption order was slightly later than the submerged ocean blue whale's law crystal. In the submerged ocean blue whale's law crystal, the ocean was constantly changing. It also contained the ability to constantly switch between water and ice. This showed that the submerged ocean blue whale's law crystal could give Lin Yuan immunity to both water and ice attributes at the same time. It could also provide Lin Yuan with a sword skill that combined water and ice. This sword skill could be used with blue. In another 3 days, Princess would be able to finish absorbing the submerged ocean blue whale's law crystal. Lin Yuan's heart felt as though someone was scratching it. He was looking forward to the submerged ocean blue whale's vast water world, as well as the vast water world's sword skill and holy sword mode. After hearing Lin Yuan's words, the killer butterfly silently took the box. It wanted to quickly increase its strength. This way, it could better protect its little hubby, Purple Sky. In addition, the killer butterfly had already seen how rich Lin Yuan was. Therefore, it was not very surprised that Lin Yuan had given it 2,000 law crystals. However, after receiving a crate of law crystals, the killer butterflies should be quite happy. Compared to the law crystals themselves, what made it even happier was that this box of law crystals had been given by eunuch Lin. This showed that Lin Yuan loved his daughter-in-law very much. After receiving Lin Yuan's law crystals, the slaughter sky butterfly immediately found a place to absorb them to increase its strength. After settling everything, Lin Yuan lowered his head and spoke to his shadow. Let's begin. As Lin Yuan's voice fell, the void shadow demon's figure appeared 50 meters in front of Lin Yuan. Lin Yuan's hand trembled when he saw the solemn void shadow demon. He poured the 9,900 portions of source-type power that the princess had prepared in advance into the void shadow devil's body. After the source-type energy entered the void shadow fiend's body, there was no phenomenon. However, with the void shadow demon's body as the center, the entire world was instantly covered in a layer of shadow. Large swathes of shadows kept surging out of the void shadow demon's body, causing its face to reveal an expression of both pain and joy. However, the joy on the void shadow demon's face soon disappeared. This was because the shadows shooting out of the void shadow demon's body seemed to have instantly turned into knives, turning the void shadow demon's body into a hornet's nest. End of chapter. Chapter 1273. However, even if its body had turned into a hornet's nest, the surging shadows still didn't stop. The void shadow devil's body was constantly being destroyed by the shadows. Upon seeing this scene, Lin Yuan suddenly felt that the void shadow devil's breakthrough was very similar to when he had consumed the geocentric jade milk. After consuming the geocentric jade milk, his body had also been constantly being destroyed and reconstructed. After countless reconstructions, his body had undergone earth-shattering changes. However, at that time, he had been unable to move due to the pain of his body's reconstruction. However, the Void Shadow Devil was able to move its body willfully under the intense pain. The Void Shadow Devil seemed to want to relieve the pain as it used its 3-inch-long purplish-black nails to scratch its body. The sharp nails made the Void Shadow Devil's already broken body look even more pitiful, and it also made Lin Yuan secretly worried. However, after scratching twice, the Void Shadow Devil's purplish-black nails fell off one by one. Afterward, the pure black nails suddenly grew out of the Void Shadow Devil's fingers. The newly grown nails became even sharper and longer. The pure black nails continued to scratch more wounds on the Void Shadow Devil's body. The increase in the number of wounds also caused the Void Shadow Devil's shadow to surge out at an increasingly faster speed. At that moment, the Void Shadow Devil's body suddenly blended into the shadows, and the world in front of it turned dark. After a few hours, there were still no movements in the dark world. Just as Lin Yuan was worried about the Void Shadow Devil's situation and was about to summon it, the Void Shadow Devil's figure appeared 50 meters in front of Lin Yuan again. When the Void Shadow Devil appeared again, the shadows in the world seemed to have found a home and retracted back into the Void Shadow Devil's body. The receding shadows finally revealed the Void Shadow Devil's appearance. If Lin Yuan wasn't certain that this life form was Shadow, he wouldn't have imagined that this life form had evolved from the dimensional life form, the Void Shadow Devil. The Class 11/8 Tribulation Void Shadow Devil's body was green and purple. Although it had a humanoid body, no matter how one looked at it, the brutal and cold aura made the Void Shadow Devil look like an uncivilized beast. It was unknown if the Class 12 Void Shadow Devil had been living in the human world for a period of time. It was used to the appearance of humans and didn't deliberately imitate them. As long as one did not look at its face, the Void Shadow Demon looked very much like a spirit chi professional. Previously, the Void Shadow Fiend was about 1.8 meters tall. Even though its body was thin, its muscles still carried a sense of sturdiness unique to abyss-dimensional creatures. After leveling up to level 12, the Void Shadow Fiend was only about 1.7 meters tall, and its body had become thinner and more bony. The sturdiness of his muscles was completely hidden under his skin. This kind of height and build was undoubtedly more suitable for the Void Shadow Fiend's assassination style. Actually, that wasn't the only change in the Void Shadow Fiend's appearance. The purple and green colors on the Void Shadow Demon's body had completely disappeared. Only black and white were left. The Void Shadow Demon's skin was white, his hair was white, and his eyebrows were white. His eyes, lips, and nails had all turned pure black, the same color as the shadows in the darkness. Although the teeth of the Void Shadow Demon were still the same as before, it would still reveal its black lips. However, the transformed Void Shadow Fiend was undoubtedly more in line with human aesthetics. The current Void Shadow Fiend was undoubtedly much more pleasing to the eye than before. At the same time, on the back of the Void Shadow Fiend's right hand, there was a totem that was covered by a large amount of shadows. This totem symbolized the identity of the Void Shadow Fiend's apostle. The Void Shadow Fiend observed himself through the shadow, feeling happy and conflicted at the same time. The Void Shadow Fiend was a low-level demon that was looked down upon in the abyss world because of its thin body. Its greatest wish in life was to be able to become a behemoth like the Horned Demon. It wanted to use its sturdy body to gain the respect of other demons and win the heart of the succubus. Who would have thought that after becoming stronger, it would also become smaller? No. It had become shorter and thinner. This was equivalent to a programmer who had always wanted to be promoted and get a raise. But when its salary increased from 10,000 to 20,000, before it could be happy, it realized that its head was bald. This was probably the feeling in the Void Shadow Fiend's heart. The Void Shadow Fiend was afraid that Lin Yuan would despise its current appearance. The Void Shadow Fiend thought in its heart, Lin Yuan wouldn't despise me like the other abyssal demons because I became thinner and shorter, right? At that moment, the Void Shadow Fiend saw Lin Yuan walking toward it and saying, Shadow, your current appearance is much more pleasing to the eye. Shadow, your current appearance is much more pleasing to the eye. As long as you wear a mask that can cover your mouth, even if you walk outside, no one will notice anything abnormal. The Void Shadow Fiend was relieved when it heard Lin Yuan's words. In any case, Lin Yuan did not hate his appearance after becoming shorter and thinner after advancing. Moreover, Lin Yuan's praise made the Void Shadow Fiend no longer resist the changes in its height and body shape. This was because in the Void Shadow Fiend's world, there was nothing more important than making the Lord Ruler that it served happy. After checking the changes in the Void Shadow Fiend's body, Lin Yuan took out a set of spirit chi clothes and threw it to the Void Shadow Fiend. When the Void Shadow Fiend saw Lin Yuan throw the clothes to it, it hurriedly thanked him. Then, it carefully put on the clothes, afraid that its sharp nails would slip and tear the clothes. Now that the Void Shadow Fiend had reached the immortal level, Lin Yuan knew that he could no longer use Morbius True Data to find out the Void Shadow Fiend's attributes. However, Lin Yuan was very curious about the changes in the Void Shadow Fiend's original talent, Fleeing Shadow, and what its new talent was. The Void Shadow Fiend had already pledged its loyalty to him, so he could just ask about its talent. The Void Shadow Fiend had no reason not to tell him. Therefore, Lin Yuan asked the Void Shadow Fiend. After the Void Shadow Fiend became an apostle, did your talent, Fleeing Shadow, and Slaughter Shadow, improve in any way? Upon hearing Lin Yuan's words, the Void Shadow Fiend quickly replied. Lord Ruler, based on my talent, Fleeing Shadow, and Slaughter Shadow, I can hide in the shadow of any object to conceal my body. Advancing to an apostle did not significantly improve my Fleeing Shadow ability. Still, only targets that are 2 levels higher than me can sense me. However, when I attack the shadow of other targets while in the Slaughter Shadow state, I will apply a shattering effect on the inanimate object. When attacking the shadow of an inanimate object, the damage will be reflected back to the main body. Upon hearing the Void Shadow Fiend's words, Lin Yuan's eyes suddenly lit up. Chapter 1274. Based on the Void Shadow Demon's reply, Lin Yuan knew that the Void Shadow Demon's apostle talent, Fleeing Shadow, and Slaughter Shadow's improvement lay in its shattering effect on inanimate objects. Moreover, the damage to living beings was doubled. The Void Shadow Fiend was a dimensional creature that used assassination as its combat method. His innate ability, Fleeing Shadow/Slaughter Shadow, multiplied the lethality of the Void Shadow Fiend. This allowed the Void Shadow Fiend to effectively attack targets stronger than itself. Upon seeing Lin Yuan's expression, the Void Shadow Demon knew that Lin Yuan was very satisfied with the improvement of his innate specialty, Fleeing Shadow/Slaughter Shadow. Lin Yuan's satisfaction made the Void Shadow Devil exceptionally happy. Hence, the Void Shadow Demon wanted to prove himself. Before Lin Yuan could ask what the Void Shadow Demon's new talent was, it had already spoken. Lord Sovereign, the innate ability I obtained after advancing to an apostle is called Shadow Stinger Dorsal Stinger. In my opinion, Shadowthorn Stinger is much stronger than Fleeing Shadow/Slaughtering Shadow. Shadow Stinger Back Stinger allows me to lock onto a shadow target within range and launch a backstab attack on this shadow target, appearing behind the target through the shadow. When I use Shadowthorn Backstab on a specific target, all other targets with shadows within the range will have their eyes covered by the shadow and enter a blind state. Moreover, when I pierce my nails into the target's body, I can also use my nails to absorb the target's vitality to recover the injuries I receive. Upon hearing the Void Shadow Demon's words, Lin Yuan nearly applauded for it. If it was really as the Void Shadow Demon said, then the innate ability Shadowthorn Stinger Back that the Void Shadow Demon obtained after advancing to an apostle really was a bit too powerful. Its innate specialty, Shadow Stinger Dorsal Stinger, allows the Void Shadow Demon to teleport within a certain range using its shadow. Moreover, he was moving behind the target. Under normal circumstances, the back of any life form would be the blind spot of that life form. It was equivalent to a position where the target could not defend immediately. This position might not necessarily be the target's weakness, but it could greatly increase the success rate of the Void Shadow Demon's attack. This was an ability that the Nether Shadow Fiend had obtained without activating the Shadowthorn Stinger. When Nether Shadow Fiend actively activated Shadowthorn Stinger, it could apply a blind control effect to all targets within its range. This would effectively prevent other units from rescuing the shadowless demons. This greatly increased the success rate of the Void Shadow Fiend's assassination. As for the fact that the Void Shadow Fiend could absorb the target's life force to recover from injuries during the assassination, it was considered to increase the Void Shadow Fiend's battle endurance. When the Void Shadow Demon encountered a strong enemy, it could continuously assassinate other targets. It was a battle of attrition against a life form that was stronger than itself. In Lin Yuan's opinion, the Shadow Stinger Back Stinger was perfectly compatible with the Void Shadow Devil's overall style. This allowed the Void Shadow Fiend to advance further on the path of an assassin. This kind of Void Shadow Demon was enough to strike fear into the hearts of any creature of the same level. Lin Yuan looked at the Void Shadow Fiend, which was a head lower than him, and reached out to touch its head of white hair. He smiled and said, "It's fine. The current you can fight against at least 10 of your previous selves. In the future, we will have the opportunity to enter the Abyss world. When you find a target you like, you can take him in as a believer. Or you can see if there are any dimensional creatures in the swamp world that you like. You can take them all in." Upon hearing Lin Yuan's words, the Void Shadow Devil felt enlightened. Once upon a time, it was still an existence that was despised in the Abyss world. A month ago, it was still in the purple gold cage waiting to be killed. But a month later, not only had its strength improved, but it had also become an apostle. It had even been promoted to an apostle that it did not even dare to dream of. All of this stemmed from the Lord Ruler's appreciation. For some reason, apart from respect for Lin Yuan, the Void Shadow Devil had developed a different kind of feeling for him. In fact, the Void Shadow Devil had long had a plan for the choice of its believers in the future. Compared to the Horn Demon, the Flame Demon, which was good at fire elemental attacks, and the Succubus, which it was very greedy for, the Void Shadow Devil wanted to take in a large number of its kind as believers. It wanted to announce to the entire Abyss world that the Void Shadow Devil was not an existence that could be mocked. The Void Shadow Devil wanted to rely on itself to let the entire Void Shadow Devil race in the Abyss world to gain the respect of other demons. Therefore, the Void Shadow Devil frankly told Lin Yuan its thoughts. "Exalted Sovereign, in the future, I would like all of my believers and benefactors to become Void Shadow Devils. At that time, I can create an assassin squad for you to serve you." After thinking about the Void Shadow Devil's proposal, Lin Yuan felt it was very feasible. The white-clothed followers that Sky City accepted were more like warriors and could not do the work of assassins. If Sky City wanted to develop, it was bound to be stained with blood. Therefore, Sky City needed a sharp blade to solve everything in the dark. The assassin squad that Shadow formed by taking in Void Shadow Devils as believers was enough to take on the responsibility of Sky City's sharp blade in the dark. There were not many Void Shadow Devils among the Abyss demons and it was very difficult to encounter them. However, this was not a difficult thing for Lin Yuan. When the Class 6 Abyss Dimensional Rift opened and Long Tao presided over the development of the faction in the Abyss world, he would let Long Tao help him pay special attention to find Void Shadow Devils. At that moment, Lin Yuan suddenly thought of the faith plunder that Bai Lan had obtained when she reached Platinum in the Spirit Lock spatial zone the night before. Faith plunder allowed Bai Lan's power of faith to be injected into the target who could control the power of faith. The intensity of the power of faith in the target's body would be filled. This was the ability of faith plunder in the aspect of giving. Plunder showed that Bai Lan could use her own power of faith as a measure to seize control of the power of faith of the target whose power of faith was lower than her own. Faith plunder was strong, but the power of faith in Bai Lan's body was limited. However, one should not forget that Bai Lan's gold faith possession allowed Lin Yuan to fuse with Bai Lan. He could inject his own power of faith into Bai Lan's body and fuse with her power of faith. This allowed Lin Yuan to use faith plunder while fusing with Bai Lan, which was equivalent to using Lin Yuan's own faith as the standard. It could give and suppress other targets who could control the power of faith. Looking at the totem in the Void Shadow Devil's hand in front of him, Lin Yuan planned to try the effect of Bai Lan's Platinum Faith Plunder. Anyway, Lin Yuan had used Faith Possession in front of the Void Shadow Devil and turned into a mermaid. Thus, Lin Yuan had nothing to be embarrassed about now. Chapter 1275. Therefore, Lin Yuan immediately used Blue's Faith Possession to fuse with it. Shadow was a little embarrassed when Lin Yuan touched its head. Just as it was about to speak, it saw Lin Yuan transform into his body of domination. Last time, Lin Yuan had transformed into his body of domination and only dared to sneak a glance before looking away. It was afraid that its gaze would profane Lin Yuan's body of domination. However, at that moment, Lin Yuan's body of domination's breathtaking beauty deeply shocked Shadow. Now that it saw Lin Yuan's body of domination again, Shadow was still stunned. Lin Yuan's body of domination made the Void Shadow Fiend nervous. It thought that Lin Yuan had found something unusual. According to legends, the body of domination was often when the ruler was about to use its power. At this moment, the Void Shadow Demon heard Lin Yuan's words. I want to use you to test one of my abilities. My ability won't harm you, so you don't have to be nervous. If you feel any discomfort during the experiment, tell me immediately. I will also carefully observe your situation. Upon hearing Lin Yuan's words, Shadow hurriedly said, Lord Ruler. Lord Sovereign, feel free to experiment with Shadow. I might be small, but my body is very strong. After saying that, Shadow stood on the spot without any defense, ready to let Lin Yuan do whatever he wanted. For Shadow, its body could be tested by the Lord Ruler. It was definitely a great honor for it. When Lin Yuan got Shadow's response, he immediately lifted his fishtail. The power of faith instantly gushed out of the shrine in Lin Yuan's soul. Lin Yuan's fluttering long hair instantly turned from blue to a rich amber color. 12 amber water pillars soared into the sky from under Lin Yuan's feet. The spinning water pillars swept up the clouds, and the power of faith in them made Shadow widen its eyes. It was shocked by the massive power of faith in Lin Yuan's body of domination. Then, Lin Yuan pointed at Shadow, and the 12 amber water pillars fused into a gentle water belt. The amber-colored rippling water shot straight into Ying's body. Shadow found that the power of faith in the totem on the back of its hand was increasing rapidly. Since Shadow had just become an apostle, no matter how strong it was, the power of faith in the Shadow totem was still extremely weak. In just a few seconds, the power of faith in the Shadow totem rose from extremely weak to slightly above weak. Shadow muttered to himself as he sensed the power of faith in the totem. How is this uncomfortable? This is simply too comfortable, okay? The power of faith was the source of the apostle's power. Shadow had heard of the power of a ruler, but he had never heard that a ruler could use his faith power to increase the faith power of an apostle. But before Obscurus could experience this comfortable feeling for a long time, Obscurus knew what true discomfort was. The moment the power of faith in Shadow's totem changed from weak to below average, Shadow felt the totem on the back of his right hand distort violently. It was like a balloon that had been filled with water to its limit. If more water was poured into the balloon, it would explode. Lin Yuan had been observing Shadow's state. When he noticed that the Void Shadow Demon's expression was abnormal, he immediately stopped. He immediately stopped pouring the power of faith into Shadow through Faith Plunder. Based on the results of Shadow's experiment, Lin Yuan roughly deduced the limits of his faith seize on the apostles. Even if he had enough power of faith in his shrine, he couldn't endlessly pour it into his apostles. Using this type of skill to increase the apostles' faith power would probably only increase it by a large level. Any more and it would bring harm to the apostle. After Lin Yuan stopped pouring in the power of faith, Shadow immediately exclaimed. Exalted Hegemon, I can now use the sacred origin body. Upon hearing Shadow's words, Lin Yuan immediately became interested. Lin Yuan remembered that when Bai Yan and the Dark Scorpion Apostle had been fighting, both of them had used their origin saint bodies. The sacred source body could be considered the second ability of the Apostle's power of faith, and it could only be obtained when the apostles' power of faith was below average. After Bai Yan and the Dark Scorpion Apostle activated their sacred origin bodies, they immediately transformed into human form. As his strength increased, he could also use an ability called the Holy Secret Art. Lin Yuan said to the Void Shadow Devil, "Shadow, since you can use it now, then use your sacred source body. Let me see what kind of ability your sacred technique has." During his conversation with Bai Yan, Lin Yuan had learned that the Dark Scorpion Apostle's sacred art's ability was disintegrate. When the Nether Scorpion Apostle's holy art landed on a living body's body, the living body's constituent cells would quickly separate. It was extremely destructive to living beings. The reason why Bai Yan was able to devour the Dark Scorpion Apostle's holy art was because Bai Yan's holy art's ability was to repeat. The holy art reprise ability allowed Bai Yan to completely devour the power of faith of any holy art whose power wasn't higher than his own apostle. Holy art Bai Yan, whose power of faith was higher than his own apostle, could only devour a portion. Then, it spat out its own holy secret art and the holy secret art it had devoured, and launched an attack at the target. It could be said that the abilities of the apostle's sacred source body were very unique. Therefore, Lin Yuan could no longer hold back his curiosity about the Shadow holy art. In fact, Lin Yuan wasn't just curious about Shadow's holy art. Lin Yuan was also very curious about the changes in the holy Shadow source body's appearance. Now that Shadow was no different from a human, what kind of changes would it have after becoming a sacred source body? When Shadow heard Lin Yuan's words, it immediately used the totem's power of faith that Lin Yuan had poured into it to execute the sacred source body. Lin Yuan saw that the white parts of Shadow's body instantly became transparent, and the black parts also became shadows. Shadow's sacred source body seemed to have disappeared in front of Lin Yuan. However, through the power of faith that he had poured into Shadow, Lin Yuan was sure that Shadow had been standing in front of him and hadn't moved. Lin Yuan thought to himself, Shadow's sacred source body transforms itself into a shadow-like existence. Shadow's sacred source body greatly enhances its concealment ability. During the process of Shadow executing the sacred source body, Lin Yuan found that the power of faith that he had poured into Shadow was slowly being consumed. Shadow released the sacred source body for a moment and said to Lin Yuan excitedly, "Lord Ruler, my holy art can merge with any shadow. Great Sovereign, my holy art can merge with any shadow. It can also explode in the shadow according to my will, transferring the damage to Shadow to the main body." When Lin Yuan heard Shadow's words, he raised his eyebrows. It seemed that Shadow's holy art had added a long-range ability to Shadow. This allowed Shadow to not only be able to fight in close combat during battles. After Lin Yuan understood the Shadow stab back sting that Shadow had obtained after becoming an apostle, Lin Yuan found a potential weakness. Shadow's seemingly invincible ability actually had a fatal weakness. Chapter 1276. When facing a target like the yellow jadeite golden butterfly, the Void Shadow Fiend would not be able to injure the target. It would be severely injured by the shield's recoil ability. Now that the Shadow Saint Art's attack method had reduced this disadvantage. Shadow, your holy art has added an attack method for you. This hidden killing method will definitely have a good effect in battle. I'm going to continue to try my ability. After saying that, Lin Yuan once again used Faith Plunder on Shadow. However, this time, Lin Yuan did not use Faith Plunder but the ability to control the power of faith. The moment Lin Yuan used the skill, a huge phantom formed by the power of faith appeared behind him in his mermaid state. The moment the amber phantom and Lin Yuan's finger pointed at Shadow, a strange light flashed in front of them. Shadow found that it had lost the ability to mobilize the power of faith. When Lin Yuan used Faith Plunder on Shadow, he did not take back the power of faith that he had injected into Shadow. He did not take back the power of faith that he had injected into Shadow. In other words, he could rely on the power of faith in his body to firmly suppress the apostles whose power of faith was below average. It made the apostles with lower than average levels of faith lose their control over the power of faith. This was almost no different from lowering the apostles' lifeforms and turning them back into dimensional lifeforms. Moreover, with the strength of the power of faith in his body, he could not only suppress the apostles whose power of faith was below average. This ability had a strong strategic significance for his development in the dimensional world. After experimenting with faith plunder, Lin Yuan removed the suppression on Shadow's power of faith. At the same time, he took back the power of faith that he had injected into Shadow. The apostles could recover the power of faith consumed in battle, but Lin Yuan's power of faith was consumed. Therefore, Lin Yuan would not let the power of faith be consumed to increase the strength of the apostles' power of faith. Shadow, Lizard Teng, Wendy, and Bai Yan should rely on themselves to increase the strength of the power of faith. It was better to use this method as a trump card against a strong enemy. Bai Yan believed that he was a ruler and followed him, treating Blue's water of faith as a ruler treasure. Under this premise, as long as Lin Yuan did not reveal any flaws and Bai Yan saw through him, he would not be a ruler. Then, Bai Yan would be the strongest combat power under him. Through faith plunder, he should be able to increase Bai Yan's power of faith to an extremely high level. This type of power of faith was already at the peak level among apostles. If he were to buff Bai Yan, then it wouldn't be impossible for him to break through the East Marsh Palace. Lin Yuan coveted the sacred source lifeforms in East Marsh Palace. After giving Shadow a ball of water of faith, he left the swamp world. In Miao Zhenshan's study in the Miao family's beast creation garden, Miao Zhua and Miao He stood on Miao Zhenshan's left and right, reporting the situation to Miao Zhenshan softly. Miao Zhenshan nodded in satisfaction when he heard Miao Zhua's report. Compared to Miao He, Miao Zhua was undoubtedly more satisfactory to Miao Zhenshan. However, Miao Zhua's soul spirit was injured, and he couldn't become a Class 4 creation master. From this point of view, it would be difficult to convince the masses to appoint Miao Zhua as the next patriarch of the Miao family. After being promoted by him, Miao He was no longer a wastrel like before. It was rare for him to be so serious. However, Miao He was lacking in strategy and courage compared to Miao Zhua. Miao Zhenshan asked Miao Zhua, "Zhua, what do you think is the possibility of Sky City helping the Blissful Sea clan in the Blood Oath duel with our beast creation garden?" Miao Zhua knew that his grandfather had been worrying about this problem for the past 2 days. His grandfather was the one who had initiated the Blood Oath duel, so he definitely felt that Sky City wouldn't help the Blissful Sea clan in the Blood Oath duel. However, Miao Zhua's eyes flickered. He didn't want to follow his grandfather's train of thought. Following his grandfather's train of thought would only make him happy for a while. There wouldn't be any tangible benefits if he succeeded, but if he failed, his grandfather would think that he was short-sighted. After thinking about it, Miao Zhua felt that he should give his grandfather a warning. Even though this precaution might make Grandpa unhappy. "Grandfather, I think we still have to be wary of Sky City. Previously, when we helped the Jing family in the Blood Oath duel with Sky City will inevitably take revenge." Miao Zhenshan frowned when he heard Miao Zhua's words. He turned to Miao He and asked, "What do you think?" When Miao He heard Miao Zhua's suggestion, he couldn't help but laugh in his heart. Wasn't Miao Zhua making trouble for his grandfather by saying this? Grandfather was the one who initiated the Blood Oath duel. What difference was there between Miao Zhua saying this and slapping his grandfather's face? "Grandfather, you should have investigated the Aurora Pollen incident." The Aurora Pollen incident against the Blissful Sea clan has been planned for several months. Sun Ningxiang of the Du Immortal Garden is also involved in it. The Du Immortal Garden is on good terms with Sky City, and the Du Immortal Garden is targeting the Blissful Sea clan. According to their relationship, there's no reason for Sky City to help the Blissful Sea clan. Moreover, we've planted many spies in the Blissful Sea clan over 10 years ago. It's possible that 1 or 2 of our spies would be discovered by the Blissful Sea clan. However, we've planted more than 20 spies in the Blissful Sea clan. All of them told us that the Blissful Sea clan sought help from Sky City but was rejected. Now that the Blissful Sea clan is in chaos, Qi Heng has started to clean up the Blissful Sea clan. It seems like he wants to replace Qi Wangyang and replace Qi Haitao. Clearly, Qi Heng has gone crazy. I feel that Big Brother's words are a little too frightening. Miao Zhuo didn't choose to confront Miao He directly. Instead, he chose to ignore it. Seeing that his grandfather didn't reply to Miao He, Miao Zhuo knew that his grandfather was still uncertain. His grandfather was making a risky move, so risky that even if Miao He had the same opinion as him, he couldn't be sure. Thus, Miao Zhuo spoke softly. Grandfather, if there's really no other way, I'll look for Lord Lin Yuan to inquire about the situation. Or you can look for the Whale Ocean Trading Company. The Whale Ocean Trading Company's cooperation with us has already been finalized. If we ask the Whale Ocean Trading Company for help now, I'm sure they won't refuse. With an immortal expert helping us, even if Sky City really helps the Blissful Sea clan, there's nothing to fear. Miao Zhuo's words resonated with Miao Zhinshan's heart. However, Miao Zhinshan still decided to take a gamble. He was betting that Sky City wouldn't help the Blissful Sea clan in the Blood Oath Extreme Duel. If he lost the gamble, he could still ask the Moon Empress Disciple or the Whale Ocean Trading Company for help. Since he was going to owe them a favor, there was no need to nip it in the bud. Chapter 1277. It was a good thing that the Beast Creation Garden had 7 more Emperor-class experts, but some of them had become arrogant because of their increased strength. Miao Zhinshan was very dissatisfied. To put it bluntly, these people had only been Emperor-class experts. They had relied on the resources of the Miao family's Beast Creation Garden to climb up step by step. However, their arrogant attitude made Miao Zhinshan feel that if he died one day, Miao He and Miao Zhuo would definitely not be able to suppress them. Therefore, Miao Zhinshan decided to send them to participate in the Blood Oath duel with the Blissful Sea clan. It would be fine if Sky City did not help the Blissful Sea clan. Even if they did, Miao Zhinshan would not feel too much pain in losing a few Emperor-class experts. As Miao Zhinshan's discomfort and anxiety grew stronger, the Blood Oath duel between the Miao family's Beast Creation Garden and the Blissful Sea clan officially began. Lin Yuan did not plan to participate in this Blood Oath duel. As the City Lord of Sky City, there was no need for him to join in the fun since it did not affect Sky City itself. Lin Yuan's current attention was all on the sword skill that he was about to obtain and the large whale fall under the Blissful Sea clan's distant sea. He simply let Shadow go to the extreme battle arena alone. A few hours later, Shadow would bring back the creation breed Fey Carcass and World Crystal. He did not need to care about the Blissful Sea clan's experts' lives. He instructed Shadow to let the experts from the Miao family's Beast Creation Garden summon a few more Fays before attacking. That way, he would be able to gain more. Lin Yuan did not care about the Blood Oath duel between the Miao family's Beast Creation Garden and the Blissful Sea clan, but the other factions and onlookers did not think so. The Zheng family's Blood Oath duel against Sky City as a veteran faction had caused such a huge commotion. Not to mention that this matter involved a veteran faction and a top faction. There had always been speculation on the internet that Sky City might participate in the Blood Oath battle between the Beast Creation Garden and the Blissful Ocean tribe to take revenge on the Miao family. Sky City was the hottest topic on the internet, and the popular posts were almost all discussions about this matter. The discussions even suppressed the gossip of a top faction's core member being cuckolded and a veteran faction's family head being abused by his wife. Lin Yuan needed to harvest the power of faith from the main world, so he, who usually never gossiped, patiently browsed through the posts related to Sky Castles. As the Radiance Federation's second world, there was no lack of people making a living. Professional reporters would usually report the truth according to the facts. Even if they were to exaggerate, they had to be based on facts. As long as one focused on a hot topic, one's thoughts would spread, leading to all kinds of conspiracy theories, constructs, and conjectures. Lin Yuan did not know whether to laugh or cry at these conspiracy theories and conjectures. If Lin Yuan wasn't the person involved, he would have been fooled by Red's conjecture and hypothesis. Let's see what the topics of these gossip posts are. The City Lord of Sky City scolds the Beast Creation Garden for being too high profile in the conference hall, saying that those who don't help the Sea of Bliss aren't true men. Breaking news. The strongest combat power of Sky City is no match for the Beast Creation Garden. According to reports, the Miao family's Beast Creation Garden and Sky City have reached a private settlement. There were plenty of discussions and curses under all kinds of posts, but Lin Yuan didn't want to intervene. That was because these gossipy posts spread the fame of Sky City to a certain extent. Lin Yuanhong kept Sky City's popularity high. Even Lin Yuan, the city lord of Sky City, was often mentioned. It could be said that the blood oath duel between the Miao family's Beast Creation Garden and the Sea of Bliss had become the center of the entire Radiance Federation's discussion. Even ordinary people who weren't spirit chi professionals would comment on this matter when they went to buy the usnea vines and jasmine lilies in the morning. As soon as the blood oath duel started, 3 Emperor-class experts flew out from the Miao family's Beast Creation Garden. The appearance of these 3 Emperor-class experts made many veteran factions and top factions who knew about the Miao family's Beast Creation Garden secretly shocked. They thought that Lu Yenshan and Han Tianhe's deaths would hurt the Miao family's Beast Creation Garden. In the end, the Miao family's Beast Creation Garden produced another 3 Emperor-class experts. The Miao family's Beast Creation Garden's foundation was rather deep. However, when the 3 members of the Sea of Bliss went up, the factions and reporters present couldn't help but feel dispirited. The Sea of Bliss members participating in the Blood Oath duel were simply too weak. The Sea of Bliss elder, Qi Heng, was not present, and so was the family head, Qi Wangyang. Only the young family head, Qi Haidao, brought along 2 new king-class experts. Such a lineup was simply incomparable to the Miao family's Beast Creation Garden's lineup of 3 Emperor-class experts. However, when the Extreme Battle Arena's manager, Gu Han, was confirming the final lineup, the Sea of Bliss member, Qi Haidao, who had a bitter look on his face, requested to be replaced. In the end, no one saw Qi Haidao's replacement walk up the Extreme Battle Arena. Gu Han had a strange expression as she announced the official start of the Blood Oath duel between the Miao family's Beast Creation Garden and the Sea of Bliss. This caused the noisy scene to immediately fall into a strange silence. This scene was simply too similar to the battle between Sky City and the Jing family. It was both 2 against 3, and there was a huge disparity in strength between the 2 sides and the 3 sides. The strange silence on the field was soon broken, and many of the audience exclaimed in surprise. "Damn! What's going on? Why are there only 2 people left from the Sea of Bliss? I clearly remember that the young man who just went down said that someone was going to replace him. Where is that person? Anyway, I feel that they will die sooner or later. The Sea of Bliss's young family head, Qi Haidao, has just gone down. I heard that Qi Haidao is quite brave. Since he chose to go up, he won't back down. Also, if there really isn't anyone to replace him, Master Gu Han wouldn't just announce the official start of the Blood Oath duel without asking any questions. Is history going to repeat itself? Could it be that Sky City is really helping the Sea of Bliss in the Blood Oath duel? Sky City is domineering. The Beast Creation Garden was so pretentious last time, it's time to teach them a lesson. Miao Zhinshan wasn't sure if Sky City would help the Sea of Bliss, so he wanted to understand the situation as soon as possible. Miao Zhinshan personally led the team to the scene. Seeing the situation on the Sea of Bliss's side, Miao Zhinshan's face suddenly darkened. He cursed in his heart. At this moment, Miao Zhinshan immediately released his peak-level Emperor-class aura and used it to sweep across the entire Extreme Battle Arena. As a peak-level Emperor-class expert, Miao Zhinshan's unrestrained release of his aura directly affected the audience who came to watch the Blood Oath duel. 166 Reading Network. Chapter 1278. In response, Gu Han immediately snorted coldly. He also released his aura to warn Miao Zhinshan. The reason Miao Zhinshan released his aura was to find out if there were any experts from the Blissful Sea tribe present in the arena. After probing for a while, Miao Zhinshan was sure that he hadn't detected any abnormalities in the Sea of Bliss. However, Miao Zhinshan was not happy. Instead, his heart sank. The last time he had arrived, he had only seen Han Tianhe and Lu Yenshan's corpses, but he had not seen anyone from Sky City who had the strength to kill them. The situation was still the same. A bad thought flashed through Miao Zhinshan's mind. Could it be that there was an immortal-level existence in Sky City? If that was the case, the Miao family's beast creation garden would not be able to fight against Sky City. He had schemed against Sky City for so long, so how was he any different from a mouse scheming against a cat? Of course, no matter how heavy his heart was, Miao Zhinshan still had to apologize to Gu Han immediately. Gu Han was backed by the chief guard of the spirit guards in His Holiness Iron Prison, so it would not end well for him to offend her. It wasn't just Miao Zhinshan and the audience, even the three emperors from the Miao family's beast creation garden felt that something was amiss. He immediately summoned his main Fei with a grave expression. The two king stage experts from the Blissful Ocean tribe were prepared to fight to the death. Because the two of them had not received any news from Qi Heng and Qi Haitao, they were completely kept in the dark. Looking at the three summoned creation breed Feis, the two king-class experts didn't even have the courage to summon their Feis to resist. Shadow remembered Lin Yuan's instructions and did not attack immediately after the three Emperor-class experts from the Miao family's beast creation garden summoned their creation seed Feis. Instead, he was waiting for the trio to summon their other Feis. Otherwise, Shadow would feel that it had let down Lin Yuan's entrustment if it only brought back 3 creation breed Feis corpses and 3 world crystals. The 3 great Emperor-level experts of the Miao family looked in the direction of the 2 king-level experts of the Blissful Sea tribe suspiciously. They didn't dare to attack first. The 2 king-class experts of the Blissful Sea tribe had completely lost the courage to resist. If it wasn't for the tighter sphincter muscles after becoming an A-rank spirit chi professional, the extreme arena had already been dirted by the 2 king-class experts of the Blissful Sea tribe. 2 sides. One side was suspicious, and the other side was fearful. This caused the situation in the extreme arena to be in a deadlock. The discussions became louder and louder. Finally, the 3 emperors from the Miao family's beast creation garden exchanged glances. They each summoned a myth breed Fei and prepared to launch a probing attack on the Blissful Sea tribe's side. As a result, the moment the 3 Emperor-class experts from the Miao family's beast creation garden summoned their myth breed Feis, the black figure that had been away from the extreme arena for a week flashed again. After 9 flashes, 3 dead Emperor-class experts, 3 dead creation breed Feis, and 3 dead myth breed Feis appeared on the arena's ground. The 3 dead Emperor-class experts were cleanly split into 2, just like before. However, the corpses of the 3 dead creation breed Feis and myth breed Feis were absolutely intact. However, there was a large hole in his back. Previously, Shadow did not know that the Feis corpses were useful to Lin Yuan and had rashly split the 2 creation breed Feis bodies into 2. This had made Shadow feel guilty for a long time. This time, Shadow intentionally kept the Feis corpse intact. After the attack, Shadow entered the corpse's shadow and stored it in the Diamond Fei storage box. Then, he turned around and prepared to return to the return from faraway mansion to report to Lin Yuan. Shadow's order was to help the Blissful Sea tribe kill the 3 Emperor-class experts, and ensure the Blissful Sea tribe's victory in the Blood Oath Extreme Battle. Now, Ying had completed her mission perfectly. Even after Ying had left for a long time, the spectator stands of the Polar Arena were still silent. Everyone had already guessed that Sky City would help the Sea of Bliss tribe in the Blood Oath battle against the Miao family's beast creation garden. However, the truth was right there, and it was hard for people to react for a while. According to the rules of the Blood Oath Extreme Battle, not only did the beast creation garden lose 3 Emperor-level experts, but according to the rules of the Blood Oath Extreme Battle, 3 Emperor-level experts had died. The life and death of the Miao family's beast creation garden were in the hands of the Old Paradise Sea clan. Would a top faction like the beast creation garden perish just like that? The reporters started to secretly think about how they should write the report on the Blood Oath Extreme Battle when they returned. They came to watch the battle between the Miao family's beast creation garden and the Sea of Bliss tribe. After they came back to their senses, they shared the results of the Blood Oath Extreme Battle. The public's opinion exploded in an instant. Sky City's reputation also shot up at the speed of a rocket. At that moment, Lin Yuan, who was standing in the courtyard and staring at the auspicious swallow, suddenly felt the faith light spots in the shrine increase exponentially. Although these new light spots of faith were very weak, they were growing brighter and brighter at an extremely fast speed. In just a few minutes, Lin Yuan felt that the power of faith in his shrine had increased by at least 20%. This was just the beginning of an event that would ferment. Lin Yuan felt that with his identity as the Sky City Lord, the power of faith in the shrine could easily double. Lin Yuan couldn't help but feel exceptionally happy. At the same time, the sudden increase in the power of faith light spots in the shrine let Lin Yuan know that the Blood Oath extreme battle between the Miao family's Beast Creation Garden and the Paradise Sea clan had officially come to an end. Obscurus should be back in the mansion soon. Sure enough, as soon as this thought appeared in Lin Yuan's mind, Obscurus appeared in front of Lin Yuan. Obscurus handed the diamond face storage box that Lin Yuan had just given it in the morning back to Lin Yuan. Lord Ruler, there are a total of 3 Class 11 lifeforms and 3 lifeforms below Class 11 in the diamond face storage box. Please take a look. Lin Yuan looked at Obscurus's expectant expression and could not help but laugh as he took the diamond face storage box. Lin Yuan did not need to look to know that the 3 creation breed and 3 myth breed corpses in the diamond face storage box must be relatively intact. As a demon that lived in the abyss world, Obscurus was cold and cruel. However, it was abnormally young and even a little cute when it came to emotions. Lin Yuan naturally had to satisfy Obscurus's simple expectations. Therefore, Lin Yuan praised Obscurus. Looking at Obscurus's satisfied smile, Lin Yuan realized that dimensional lifeforms and phase actually had many common characteristics. The biggest characteristic was that phase and dimensional lifeforms had very pure feelings. 166 Reading Network. Chapter 1279. Lin Yuan could not help but think that when the Class 6 Abyss Dimensional Rift opened, the Radiance Federation and the Abyss world would be connected through it. Perhaps abyssal demons could also become Spirit Chi professionals' assistants or be domesticated by Spirit Chi professionals to integrate into the main world's life. After praising Shadow, Lin Yuan carefully checked the Fey corpses in the Diamond Fey storage box. Previously in the Miao family's Beast Creation Garden, these Emperor-class experts' Feys had been in the process of becoming creation breeds. Lin Yuan had taken away the creation earth veins that had descended after the 7 creation breed Feys had survived the creation calamity. At that time, Lin Yuan had 7 grape-sized golden pearls formed from the creation earth veins. Therefore, Lin Yuan was very clear about what the 7 newly promoted Emperor-class experts' creation breed Feys were. These 7 Emperor-class experts had been pinnacle Emperor-class experts before. Their main Feys were carefully selected, and their laws were not bad at all. Therefore, Lin Yuan was indeed envious of the creation breed Feys law worlds. After checking the 3 creation breed Feys corpses in the Diamond Fey storage box, Lin Yuan's eyes suddenly lit up. This was because one of the 3 creation breed Feys happened to be the one that Lin Yuan coveted the most. This creation breed Fey was called the Prism Turtle. The Prism Turtle's law world was a simulated law world. It could use the simulated law world to imitate other Feys in battle and at the same time, imitate other Feys' abilities and exclusive skills. When facing a stronger Fey, the Prism Turtle would still be crushed by the other party even if it imitated the other party. However, when facing a weaker Fey, the Prism Turtle could perfectly show what it meant to be disgusting. I'll transform into your appearance, bully you, and defeat you. Lin Yuan took out the Prism Turtle's world crystal from the Diamond Fey storage box. Within the world crystal of the prismatic tortoise lay a large silver tortoise with a mirror-like shell that could reflect any image. The large tortoise lying in the world crystal looked ordinary, far less spectacular than the scenes in the world crystal of the holy healing white deer and the world crystal of the oceanic giant whale. However, if one looked closely at the world crystal of the Prism Turtle, one would find that each piece of the Prism Turtle's carapace seemed to be hiding a world. When these back plates were combined, it was as if they were overlapping worlds. The Prism Tortoise perfectly blended into every world, becoming a part of the world that should have existed. Lin Yuan did not know what kind of sword technique would appear after the princess absorbed the simulated law world. But no matter what, this sword skill was destined to be very flexible and ever-changing. As for the other two creation breed phase in the diamond phase storage box, they were also pretty good. However, it was not as dazzling as the prismatic tortoise's simulated law world. The world crystal of the shadow-bound mysterious snake was filled with flickering shadows. These shadows appeared to be in the state of the dead, howling miserably as they wandered about in the dusky world. The shadow of the dead formed a noose from time to time, trying to bind anything that could be grabbed. A giant serpent with a long gray horn on its head and sharp purplish-gray scales on its body was coiled around a stone pillar at the center of the world. It was like a grayish-purple chain that was tightly bound to the stone pillar. The shadow-binding confusing snake controlled the binding shadow world. Just like Shadow, it could control shadows during battle. However, Shadow's attack direction was like an offensive-type assassin that was adept at covert assassination. The shadow-binding confusing snake, which had comprehended the binding shadow world, was like a mage that commanded shadows to control. By relying on the shadows formed by the dead, it also had a certain spiritual attack ability. Lin Yuan reckoned that if the princess absorbed the binding shadow world crystal, she should be able to add a sword technique with control ability. However, Lin Yuan did not intend to let the princess absorb this binding shadow world crystal so quickly. Unless the princess had no other world crystals to absorb, Lin Yuan would only consider letting her absorb this binding shadow law crystal. Shadow was a derivative of darkness, and this binding shadow world crystal was ultimately a dark element world crystal. The princess's absorption of the binding shadow world crystal gave Lin Yuan dark element resistance. The dark death world already provided Lin Yuan with dark element resistance. Compared to specifically increasing dark element resistance, Lin Yuan preferred to develop it in all aspects. As for the third world crystal, it was a scorching sun world crystal produced in the ardent sun dragon centipede's body. The scorching sun dragon centipede was a fae with both fire and light attributes. The scorching sun law world that it grasped was also a world with both fire and light attributes. After the princess absorbed it, she would be able to give him resistance to the fire and light elements. It could be considered as strengthening his second layer of defense. Once the princess finished absorbing the roaring sun world's crystals, it would be much easier for Lin Yuan to fight Zhongzhe. Of course, the easy referred to before Zhongzhe's desolate sky-burning centipede's bloodline was purified. Now, the heaven-burning Ho had upgraded its desolation bloodline and also grasped the top red plum meteorite flame. If he really fought with Zhongzhe, he wasn't sure if the fire elemental resistance provided by the princess would be enough. The ardent sun dragon centipede was a fae that specialized in large-scale magic damage. It was similar to Han Tianhe's main fae, the geocentric dragon's nail. After absorbing it, he should be able to obtain an extremely powerful sword technique that dealt mass damage. World crystals weren't that easy to obtain. Once the few world crystals he had on hand were all absorbed, he wouldn't be able to do so. Lin Yuan had to consider how to use the gold bead that he had obtained by absorbing the creation earth vein. It was worth Lin Yuan to think carefully about which kind of law world he should use these creation earth veins to strengthen in Princess Luo Quan. Every part of a myth breed or creation breed fae was a treasure. He planned to give their corpses to the Mother of Bloodbath. He would let the Mother of Bloodbath absorb the blood energy within these myth breed phase and creation breed phase before splitting the spiritual ingredients. Leave behind the parts that are useful to creation masters. He might as well throw the meat to Duanhe's main fae, Purple Demon, so that it could grow quickly. According to Lin Yuan's original plan, he would help the Blissful Sea clan settle the Blood Oath extreme battle with the Miao family in the Beast Creation Garden. He should take Lu Jia, the Mother of Bloodbath, and a few spirit craftsmen through the spatial tunnel to the Divine Wood Federation to continue training. However, the news that Chi Haitao had leaked to Lin Yuan made him dispel his plan to go to the Divine Wood Federation immediately. Compared to going to the Divine Wood Federation, what he needed to do now was to go to the island that the Sea of Bliss had purchased in the distant Sea of Raging Waves City. He wanted to check the situation of the large whale fall below the island. Before leaving Sky City Star Web private territory, the Sea of Bliss Chi Heng had left his phone number. The Blissful Sea Tribe had just won the Blood Oath duel, and the Blissful Sea Tribe was about to contribute all of their resources to Sky City. Chapter 1280. At this time, Chi Heng must have a lot of things to do. Lin Yuan did not want to wait for Chi Heng to contact him after the time was up, so he simply called Chi Heng. At this moment, Chi Heng was standing in the camp of the Sea of Bliss tribe in the polar arena, enjoying the attention of the audience. Looking at the family head of the Miao family, Miao Zhinshan, who was in the Miao family's beast creation garden, Chi Heng suddenly felt that he was a cut above Miao Zhinshan. But this feeling only flashed by. This was because Chi Heng knew that the Blissful Ocean tribe had not won the Miao family's beast creation garden. Sky City had defeated the Miao family's beast creation garden. The Blissful Ocean clan and the Miao family were both failures. The resources of both sides would be swept clean by Sky City. Sky City, who had been hiding behind the scenes, was the biggest winner of this storm. For some reason, he recalled Sky City's City Lord's confidence when he met him in Sky City's Star Web private faction territory. Chi Heng had a feeling that the Lord of Sky City was the mastermind behind all of this. No matter what, after leaving the extreme battle arena, the Chi clan was like a rootless duckweed. Looking at Chi Wangyang's ecstatic and arrogant expression, Chi Heng couldn't hide his disgust. At that moment, Chi Heng's phone rang. Chi Heng picked up his phone and saw that it was an unknown number. At this time, someone called him. Chi Heng had already vaguely guessed who it was. Chi Heng didn't dare to delay and picked up the phone. The clear and pleasant voice of a young man sounded from the other end of the phone. The Blissful Ocean tribe has already defeated the Miao family's beast creation garden in the Blood Oath extreme battle. The Sky City has fulfilled its promise. Now, it's the Blissful Ocean tribe's turn. Hearing this, Chi Heng channeled his spiritual power and formed a cyclone around him. Chi Heng said as he covered his mouth with his sleeve. Lord, our Chi family will not return to the Blissful Ocean clan's old house after the Blood Oath extreme duel. My lord, you can take over the Blissful Sea tribe's businesses at any time. If you don't want those spirit Chi professionals working in the Blissful Sea tribe, please give me a day's grace. I will dismiss all the workers for you. Lin Yuan nodded silently. Chi Heng had done a good job. Someone will take over the properties of the Blissful Sea tribe later. The spirit Chi professionals working in the Paradise Sea race will make their own arrangements. You don't have to worry about it. But you should remember what you said in Sky City Star Web private faction territory, right? Now, take me to see the large whale fall below the island. Upon hearing that, Chi Heng's expression froze slightly. He knew that Sky City's City Lord was calling to verify the authenticity of Chi Haidao's information. If the news was true, then Sky City's promise to the Chi family would remain unchanged. If the news was not true, Sky City would probably seek revenge on the Chi family. However, Chi Heng had nothing to be afraid of. Because there was indeed a large whale fall below the island. It was just that any large whale fall would be guarded by powerful sea beasts and sea race experts. Therefore, Chi Heng didn't dare to pay any attention to this huge whale fall even though it was right under the Blissful Sea tribe's island. They only dared to use the nutrients from the large whales that were swept to the surface by the ocean currents. Although Chi Haidao didn't say this at that time, Sky City's City Lord should be able to understand. Please give me an hour. After an hour, I'll wait for you at the entrance of the Listening Heron Chamber of Commerce. I want to solve the Chi family's internal problems during this hour. Upon hearing that, Lin Yuan responded and hung up the phone. It would be a relatively long journey to Stormy Wave City. His ethereal jellyfish had never set up node tentacles along the route between the royal capital and Stormy Wave City. He could take advantage of this opportunity in the Journey Forest to set up ethereal jellyfish's tentacles along the route between the royal capital and Stormy Wave City. This would make it very convenient for him to go to Stormy Wave City in the future. When Yu originally wanted to go on this journey, but she thought of her strength and the matter of Sky City Star Web private territory. She decided to stay in the mansion obediently. Since it was a long journey, Lu Jia and the mother of Bloodbath began to make preparations. Ji Feng stayed in the listening Heron Chamber of Commerce to keep watch. Given his situation, it was not very convenient for him to move around outside. Unless he didn't summon his Fae to display his strength, once Ji Feng's Fae was exposed, people would likely think of the Whale Ocean Trade Sea Sky's young family head who had disappeared for more than a decade. Qi Heng, who hung up the phone, looked at Qi Wangyang, who was ostentatiously waving at the audience, and snorted. Qi Heng pulled Qi Wangyang over and told him about the deal he and Qi Haitao had reached with Sky City City Lord on Star Web. When the insolent Qi Wangyang heard Qi Heng's words, his expression changed drastically and suddenly turned gloomy. Previously, he had seen a black shadow kill the 3 Emperor-class experts who had participated in the Blood Oath Extreme Battle in the Miao family's Beast Creation Garden. While Qi Wangyang was ecstatic, he secretly blamed Qi Heng and Qi Haitao for not even telling him about such a big thing. Qi Wangyang thought that Qi Heng and Qi Haitao must have paid a huge price to move Sky City. However, he didn't expect them to give away the entire blissful sea race. What use was 5 million radiance dollars? He couldn't even buy a few good quality angelfish of bliss. Was the Lord of Sky City trying to get rid of a beggar? In the end, before Qi Wangyang could shout, Qi Heng summoned a giant bear with blue flames on its body under everyone's gaze. After the giant bear was summoned, it slapped Qi Wangyang's head without any explanation. Qi Heng did not use much strength in this sudden slap, but it completely knocked Qi Wangyang out. At the same time that Qi Wangyang was knocked out, a blue flame entered Qi Wangyang's head. This slap stunned everyone in the Qi family, including Qi Haitao. It also stunned everyone in the Miao family's Beast Creation Garden, Gu Han, the audience, the Star Web internet celebrities, and the Star Web reporters. The Star Web reporters took photos while the Star Web celebrities posted the situation on the Star Web immediately. Only a fool wouldn't go for this kind of thing that came with its own popularity. Qi Heng didn't care about the reactions of the other people present. He used all his strength to prop up the spirit energy shield to envelop everyone in the Qi family. He turned around and looked at Qi Haitao. Haitao, from now on, you are the head of the Qi clan. Your father caused the downfall of the Qi family. The Blissful Ocean clan, which had been developing for dozens of years, was handed over to someone else. Now, the Qi family is like a stray dog that needs to find another place to develop. Such a person is not fit to be the head of the Qi clan. My Hellfire Cursed Bear has placed a curse in Qi Wangyang's mind. As long as Qi Wangyang's spirit is not stronger than mine, he will not be able to remove the Hellfire Cursed Bear's curse. You're tuning into the Biyao's Wuxia Chronicles YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.